Okay, hold on. Your live, it says. Holes in my head like a sieve with the pasta draining. Oh, come on. Come on. Control V. Tap, tap. How ancestral village of Kamala Harris is celebrating the inauguration. It says Asian-America in the URL. Asian America. Asian American. Asia-America. Yeah. So her mother's grandfather is from Dula Send Rapus. Rapusam, I think was the last part of that name. I don't know why it's taking 20 some odd minutes online, but check out this for weirdness. I reach towards my router. I'm touch the top, and I'm about to reach up under to press the button to turn it off and back on. But before I can actually do that, bang, it resets itself. What the fuck is that? Too much energy coming on my hands?
Processes, and we all experience things differently. Out of respect for the integrity of the office, she says she's stepping down in July. Former and current staff told the CBC of a toxic workplace where the Governor General and her secretary, who's also resigning, belittled and berated staff to the point some left their jobs. That sparked an investigation with a report that has been submitted to the government. The union for the RCMP also says now assigned to the Governor General's detail were harassed and face other troubling behavior. The Prime Minister also notes everyone has a right to a safe workplace and says it's tough for new leadership at Rito Hall. Justin Trudeau says
well, you work for the royal family,
the Chief
so
Justice of the Supreme Court will
you get to take your chances with that one. But what if the royal family falls from grace? Well, that's your problem, isn't it?
Police, a man in his 30s is dead after an industrial accident in Mississauga.
That was the last news story I heard.
680 News. It happened in the area of Copper Road near Bloor Street just before 6 this evening.
It involved a male, believed to be in their 30s, at a construction site that's actually underground.
Several other people
had gotten injured in the tunnel, I guess it would be called. They were extracted. Unfortunately, even with paramedics working on them, they were pronounced deceased on scene.
Martini says 3 others were able to get out of the tunnel without injuries, and the Ministry of Labour will be investigating the incident. Stay with 680 News for more on this developing story.
680 News time 7:35.
Rules and regulations.
Breaking news tonight.
No, this one's out of date.
Is reporting the 2021 rescheduled Tokyo Olympics have
Occupational Health and Safety Act and regulations for industrial establishments, meaning the first half of the book is the legislation.
The ruling coalition, who adds that the Japanese government will be focusing on securing the games for the next available year, which would be 2032. The games were originally supposed to take place last summer. In 2024, the games will take place in Paris. 2028 has been earmarked for Los Angeles. Stay with 680 News for more on this developing story.
Halton's police chief says he's staying put despite calls for Stephen Tanner's resignation after his controversial trip to Florida. 680's Madison Fitzpatrick joins us live with more. Madison.
Yeah, Christine, well, in a statement, the Police Services Board
We're so prescribed. Only permit a worker to work or be in a workplace who has undergone such medical examinations, tests or x-rays as prescribed, and he is found to be physically fit to do the work in the workplace.
The board says it's disappointed in now a former chair of Mayor Rob
Establish a medical surveillance program for the benefit of workers
to the U.S. during the pandemic
as prescribed, but they cannot force you.
In a statement, Tanner says, I have previously apologized openly to all of our members and to the public, and I will return next weekend and follow quarantine guidelines. The board
if a worker
says
participates in a prescribed medical surveillance program or undergoes prescribed medical examination to test, his or her employer shall pay the worker's costs for medical examination to test required by the medical surveillance program or required by regulation. B, the worker's reasonable travel costs respecting the examination or test. The time the worker spends to undergo the examination or test, including travel time, which shall be deemed to be work time for which the worker shall be paid at his or her regular or premium rate as may be proper. There we go. A worker is not required to participate in a prescribed medical surveillance program unless the worker consents to do so. RSO 1990 CO.1, S28.
Infection rates. These data show that in November, South Asian and Indo-Caribbean people experienced a disproportionately high increase.
Upon refusing to work or do particular work, the worker shall promptly report the circumstances of the refusal to the worker's employer or supervisor, who shall forthwith investigate the report in the presence of the worker. And if there is such, in the presence of one of a committee member who represents workers, if any, b, a health and safety representative, if any, that representative thinks he works for the company, not for yours. Or C, a worker who, because of knowledge, experience, and training, is selected by a trade union that represents the worker, or if there is no trade union, is selected by the workers to represent them, who shall be made available and shall attend without delay.
The mayor adds Toronto Community
5. Until the investigation is completed, the worker shall remain in a safe place near his or her workstation.
Since April. Phil Martino, 680 News. 680 News Time, 7:38. The federal government is updating its vaccine rollout strategy as Premier Doug Ford speaks at the head of Pfizer.
Where, following the investigation or any steps taken to deal with the circumstances that caused the worker to refuse to work or do particular work, the worker has reasonable grounds to believe that A, the equipment, machine, device, or thing that was the cause of the refusal to work or do particular work continues to be likely to endanger himself, herself, or another worker. B, the physical condition of the workplace or the part thereof in which he or she works continues to be likely to endanger himself or herself. Or C, any equipment, machine, device, or thing he or she is to use or operate, or the physical condition of the workplace or the part thereof in which he or she works or is to work is in contravention of this act, in italics, act, or the regulations, and such contravention continues to be likely to endanger himself, herself, or another worker. The worker may refuse to work or do the particular work when the employer or the worker or a person on behalf of the employer or worker shall cause an inspector to be notified thereof. ISO 1990 C 0.1 0.1. This one said O, letter O. This one said 0.1 S43 3-6.
I'm Mark Douglas. The music festival has fallen victim to the pandemic for the second year in a row.
Taylor
Swift was among the.
She is the most horrible looking human being I've ever seen. I don't know how you people chose her to be like your representative. She is the most horrid human being I have ever seen, and I've only seen the photo like twice on my fucking browser home screen here that handpicks news articles for me. I was supposed to go, oh, a pretty white girl, because white is inherently pretty, and I was supposed to get all hypnotized, right? And it didn't happen. She is horrid. She is horrid. She is horrid. And you see why I'm so quick to turn down the volume when a song is coming on. That's why.
Common household products.
Or to read to the next step. I don't want that fucking asshole's representatives to see this video. Go, oh, we're gonna do this and that. Fuck off. I didn't ask for your music to play in the background. You are horrid, woman. You are the horrid, horrid. It's been 12 years. She's not a little girl anymore.
$0.09 a liter at most GTA stations.
The last time I checked, it was 107.5 over here.
680 News Time, 7:40.
From the little kid shooting hoops on the driveway with dad
To elite athletes
this
at the
article here,
top of
I
their
read
game.
part of it. I wanted to see what they say. Her ancestral village, like she's from there.
Is palpable.
Mother's grandfather. That's three. She's the fourth generation. But she's the third generation not born there. But it's her ancestral village. But she's an immigrant. Immigrant! That's how they play it every time.
What happens when you sleep well?
Like this will be taken as fact. The black people didn't come here until 1817. It will be taken as fact.
Whatever your New Year's resolution, it all starts with better sleep, and that begins the sleep country.
Where did money come from? Those evenly weighted pieces of bronze that were in different shapes? That relates back to these bars of silver you could buy. 1 ounce bars of silver. You can still buy these. People have them still. If you can identify silver by looking at it and weigh it and everything, you'd be safe. They have different pictures and images and memorial things on them. I don't know if it's cartoon characters or famous people or what the fuck it is. I've never owned one. The idea is if you have a bunch of these, you'll know which ones are yours. If somebody steals them, you say, well, I had a Bugs Bunny piece of silver, and the guy doesn't have any Bugs Bunny piece of silver, then it's not yours. Right? Every single one of those bars weighs the same 1 troy ounce.
Finch at Albion down to a single lane getting through due to construction, and eastbound Finch at Sinyet down to a single lane getting getting through as well. Now at Pizza
I'm going to pretend to pronounce things correctly.
It's vegan,
and
gluten-free,
ignore
made with antioxidant-rich vegetables.
the French
like
loan
purple
words.
sweet potato. Now at Pizza. Your next report's at 7:51 with the forecast. Natasha Ramsahai.
Is it French?
Did you put away the heavier parka? Because you're going to need it this
Danny
weekend.
Porte.
It's going to be the coldest day of the
two-star
season so
General
far.
NATO
Tonight we're down
commander.
to -1, but that cold front is
I don't know how
coming
you
through
weigh that up.
early in the morning. So
And General
for yesterday,
Hillier.
tomorrow,
General
it's a mix of sun
Hillier.
and cloud, but watch for snow heavy at times as that lake effect snow machine gets turned on. Gusty northwest winds. Temperatures
Or how about
-1
the
falling to -4, wind chill
Anglophone
-12.
that's
It will
gonna
pick up a couple of
prove
centimeters
she can
in Toronto,
pronounce
but higher
Saint-Aubin.
winds as you move north.
Saint-Aubin,
Even Saturday morning, still
which is
some
more
lingering
Spanish
snow
sounding
to
than
the north.
French,
The
actually.
afternoon is partly
The
cloudy with a high of
pronunciation.
-6.
By the way, it's
Tonight, down to low
pronunciation, not
-1 degree.
pronunciation.
Right now in downtown
I
Toronto,
know,
we've
but
got
that's what it
a
is.
partly cloudy sky, seeing some
And the woman whose
light
name it
rains and
is
light snow
don't speak
around
a
the
lick of French.
GTA, or around the city. Temperature is feeling like -2. 680 news time, 7:43.
Stateside, Democrats moving full steam ahead with former President Trump's second impeachment Senate trial. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi on the president's upcoming Senate trial.
Are you going to lock him in the bridge or something?
The
Because otherwise
Senate to be
it's
in
going-
session. They've now informed us they're ready to
Oh my
receive.
God.
The question is, are there questions about how a trial will proceed?
Pelosi also revealing she'll be talking with House
Canada at a
impeachment
crossroads,
managers about
facing
the
an aggressive
timing of the
Beijing.
Senate trial.
The ties between Canada's elite and powerful and the Chinese regime. Remember, they called it a Chinese flu in here. Just like the fucking idiot at Legal Aid. You think he gets paid for that 20 minutes, even though he's not my lawyer, because the cop decided that's my lawyer. That's where your funding comes from. Canadian pension money keeps pouring into China as risks escalate.
As the owner of a construction company, finding the right
This is
people
less
is a very
racist to me
difficult
than this.
task. So I use ZipRecruiter.
ZipRecruiter's powerful matching technology identifies the right people for your job and
Well,
actively
well,
invites
I
them to
got
apply,
things of
which
the
is why you should try
sinuses.
ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.ca/Canada.
I'm out of focus when I started this, but I was 45
new
minutes.
project superintendent.
The job is so
Oh, yeah,
perfect.
the police
I had a
rolled by.
career
Take a
breakthrough.
picture.
I would have never found this job. if it
How are
wasn't
you
for
driving, pointing
With
the camera
ZipRecruiter,
at
we've
you?
hired everyone from accountants.
There's a
to
camera on your
project
chest,
managers
camera on
to
the car. Why you got your
With
cell phone in your hand while
we
you're
get
driving?
hiring results.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality
And it's
candidate
all this
within the
racial
first day.
intimidation shit.
ZipRecruiter
Two white guys
is the
staring at
smartest way to hire. And now
They
you
keep
can
tilting
try
their heads like
ZipRecruiter for
fucking
free.
dogs. They're
That's
waiting
right,
for me to
free
react
at ZipRecruiter.ca/Canada. That's ZipRecruiter.ca/Canada.
We know what to talk about. You didn't see us. Stop, bro. Show love, you lick two shots.
680 news.
Click
Hey,
with the
it's 3
thing.
degrees, feeling like a -2 with an
While
overcast
you were
sky.
driving,
Good
bro.
evening, I'm Christine Ritchie.
I'm Scott Burnett. Here are the top stories right now.
A man in his 30s has died after an accident inside an underground tunnel on a Mississauga construction site. 3 other men were able to escape. It happened just before 6 tonight near Cobra and Bloor. Ministry of Labour will now be investigating. Canada's Governor General Julie Payette is resigning after her office has swirled with controversy over the last few months. Many
What
employees
happened to
accusing her of
Mikael
creating
John?
a toxic work environment, which led to an investigation. And Japan announcing that it has to cancel its Summer Olympic Games again because of the pandemic. They were supposed to run
Really? We
last
knew
year.
that 2 nights ago, listening to them talk about it. We're going to do it no matter what.
Next time Japan can host them now is 2032. 680 News Time, 7:46.
Why is that?
Now 680 Sports from Sportsnet 590 The Fan. Here's Zach Bubenstein.
Canceling the second
the
time.
Maple Leafs in their 3-1 loss.
Only from Scotiabank. Mill Street.
Just bombard. This is how they treat advertising. Oh, we'll hit the AM radio stations. No concept of who's actually listening. You're just going to hear the same ad over and fucking over, and that will make you obey. My question is, Scotiabank, why did you shut down all of your Caribbean operations?
Beer, organic.
Original organic lager 24-pack cans at the beer store and
It costs like $3.50.
CEE Elevator Service has been serving the GTA since 1980. If your elevator or escalator is constantly out of service and you're not getting the response from your current elevator company that you deserve, call CEE. New installations, or you want to bring your elevator up to current safety codes? Call CEE. They'll set up a maintenance program to ensure your elevator has reliable, trouble-free operation. For a free quote, contact CEE Elevator, 905-428-8300. Online at CEE-elevator.com.
Bring you down to the lobby and back
Independent
up.
at times, maybe even a little
Get in on the
stubborn.
ground floor,
Your
goes
mom is
down
not
to
the kind of
basement.
woman that would ever admit defeat
Where, of
or
course, the
ask for
exhaust
help.
ventilation's
But
turned
you've
off and the pressure ventilation of the building's turned off. Completely illegal. But they'll send a cigarette tobacco inspector to get stickers. You have to put these stickers up.
Your mom
Absolutely
and
don't, 'cause they
dad
don't
with a
sell
dedicated
tobacco.
personal concierge and a
You wanna make
consistent
up laws.
in-home support team. To learn more about how Home Concierge empowers seniors to live at home on their own terms, visit thehomeconcierge.ca.
It's Freshco's birthday, and we're celebrating with big birthday bargains. Now until Sunday,
How
5
old
liter
is
Sunlight
Freshco?
laundry detergent is just $7.88. That's
How old
over
is
100
Freshco?
wash loads. Our birthday, your bargains. Freshco, lowering food prices. Limit 2 per customer while supplies last. See flyer at freshco.com.
I'm going to be your son. I'm going to let it
home
shine.
is where you want to be.
680 News Time
So that
748.
used to be a
U.S.
college
President
station,
Biden is
and now
proposing a
it's a
5-year
for-profit station.
extension of a nuclear arms treaty with Russia.
The new START treaty is set to expire next month. It's the last remaining agreement constraining the U.S. and Russian nuclear weapons, limiting each country to no more than 1,550 deployed nuclear warheads. Russia has
And it's
said
on
for
the
some
honor
time
system.
it would welcome an extension, and while the Trump administration did make a late bid to extend the treaty, it came with conditions rejected by Russia. Meanwhile, NATO's Secretary General is calling on the U.S. and Russia to extend the treaty and to broaden it. And Thomas, Washington.
Passengers aboard the first Boeing
Rodney,
737 MAX flight in Canadian airspace in nearly 2 years weren't
Oh, but
overly
Russia's-
concerned about the
Russia's
plane's
wants it
safety,
to
saying they
continue, and the
trusted
US
that
doesn't.
regulators had addressed any issues with the aircraft.
No
Upon
matter
WestJet
what they
Flight
just said.
115's arrival in Vancouver, WestJet President
Trump
and
tried to
CEO
change
Ed
it.
Sims
Kind of
spoke
like
at a press
changing
conference in
NAFTA.
which he
They didn't change
celebrated the
NAFTA. They
milestone
came
and
up with a new
emphasized the
agreement.
design changes made to the aircraft.
We never
since
withdrew
it
from
was
NAFTA.
grounded by Transport
NAFTA still
Canada
applies.
in March of
Oh, and as for all the
2019.
automotive industry, we need NAFTA. We need NAFTA. The automotive industry has about a dozen trade treaties already, tax treaties already
After 22
from the
months
50s, way before
of
NAFTA.
intense review and considerable learning.
WestJet will offer additional flexibility in its change and cancellation policies to
This is why
customers
they can build half the
scheduled
truck
to
here,
fly
put it on a
on
train,
the MAX.
train backs up to a
And with
factory in Michigan, they throw the
100,000
engine in.
Ontario
goes to
students set to
practice, they throw
return
in the
to class
transmission,
on
whatever.
Monday, we are getting some insight into
But it
what
doesn't
the
matter,
experts are
because they
saying
don't
on how to
tax
keep
anything but
kids
the
safe
completed vehicle
for
assemblies.
in-class learning. 680's Mama Qureshi has more.
The longer the pandemic goes, the more we're seeing impacts on children's physical and mental health. That's what Sick Kids Hospital CEO Dr. Ronald Cohn is saying, adding one of the real negative impacts of this pandemic is a crisis of children suffering from eating disorders, the likes of which we have never seen before.
What are you
That's in
talking
part why
about?
he believes there has to be a
1 in
return
5 kids
to
has
in-class learning.
coronavirus.
Are the somewhat
SARS too.
voices of this pandemic.
What you can't do when you're sick,
Back to
eat.
school. It's a very important aspect of trying to make sure that our children are suffering the least amount of
Realize the only
possible.
thing you
But he says
haven't
it must
recommended
come
in
with
the
a
last
robust
year is
testing
talking to
strategy.
your
At
kids.
this point in
In the
time,
last year,
community
there's been no
transmission
mention
is
of
much
speaking to your
higher
kids.
than it was
All the kids
in
know is all the
fall.
adults are
We feel
upset.
it's a critical
And somehow it's on
piece
them.
and a critical element for opening schools safely.
He says closing schools should only be a last resort. I'm Omen Qureshi.
Because
Coming
why?
up, a North
It is a
North
last
Arena
resort.
getting
We are
almost
at the
$3
last
million
fucking
in
stage of
upgrades.
the
Details
current
up next. 680
civilization.
News Time
The
750.
current era.
At Scotiabank, we know it can be hard to balance your savings goals and enjoy your life today, but the Scotiabank Savings Accelerator account can help. For a limited time, earn 1.5% interest to help grow your TFSA or RRSP faster. So you can accelerate towards what your head is planned for tomorrow
These are the same
and let
assholes
your
getting
heart
mad at me
enjoy
when
what
I
it
get
needs
20%
today.
returns for
Visit
2 months.
scotiabank.com/accelerate to open a savings accelerator account today. Conditions apply. Interest is calculated daily.
In life, the most important question anyone could ever ask is, will you marry
Every
me?
bank account in Canada. Eh?
Not. Are we alone in the universe?
Well,
Or how did the brain name itself?
Okay, point taken.
This is
The
the
most
Bonds
important question anyone could ask when they're in
Gotta
love
put
and
up
want
with
to
this
be with
new
that
girl.
person forever is, will you marry me?
Yes,
Make
all
sure
them
to
dumb
say
questions.
yes.
You still want to buy her the
Spence
ring. There you
Canada's
go.
engagement destination with thousands of rings to choose from. Spence Diamonds, open for virtual appointments and curbside pickup.
680 News Time, 7:51 with Look at Your Drive. Here's Carla Donahue.
This report's brought to you by Aaron Waxman and Associates. Westbound on the 401, we have the ramps to Kiel closed down due to a police investigation. That's it for the 401, though both directions moving up to speed. We have no issues on the DVP 404 combo.
And for some reason, your captions won't read this. 416-808-1100.
Police 11 Division Long speaking.
Hello, your officers are driving around on their cell phones, flashing lights on windows and stuff, not watching where they're driving. It's really unsafe to do that. If they want to come talk to us, they can do that anytime. Like, we're used to posing for photos, but like that's very dangerous. We're going to be reporting it to our superiors, okay?
Okay.
Get my watch back too, cunt.
But that is going to continue to drop through the day down to -4, wind chill -12.
I'm not
There's a cold front coming in the morning.
mad.
Initially, it'll give a burst of snow heavy at times, but as the day goes on, gusty northwest winds are going to get these lake effect snow bands organized to the north. Traditional snow belts, 10 to 20 centimeters. We'll let you get a couple of
that's the guy
centimeters in Toronto.
who's...
And then early
Thank
Saturday
you.
morning, still some flurries. to
They
the
stole
north.
my
It'll be
watch.
partly cloudy.
In 2019, I'm still on bail for this fucking case. I'm on 3 bails.
Watch that wind chill
They stole my
Saturday
watch,
morning.
my keys, my
Feel like
clothes, my
-18,
mailbox
and
key,
then
my house
Sunday to end
keys.
off the weekend, partly cloudy at
There was a
-4.
time, bro.
Tonight we're down to a low of
If you're walking around with a $50,000 watch selling crack and they steal that, it sort of goes with the game, right? This is a $300 watch. It's a timeless. It's like a working guy's watch, like a dad's watch. I found the damn thing in some sort of, you know, when people put stuff out for spring cleaning, because it's an older watch, but it's a timeless. It'll run forever. These idiots arrest me and stole my shit. That's how I got the orange jumpsuit.
At a Mississauga construction site tonight after an accident inside
Just to
an
be clear,
underground
I still have the
tunnel.
orange
It happened
jumpsuit.
just before 6 near Cawthra and
I'm
Bloor.
not
680
wearing it
News
right
Time,
now.
7:54.
If they arrest me now, they'll steal it back.
The iHeart Winter
They'll
Sale
steal
event
it.
is on now. Don't pay for 90 days on all new cars. OAC.
Pure white
and no
supremacists
charge
and bullying.
for
They're trying to bully, make me feel scared that they're watching.
Receive 2%
We're watching you.
above
That's all fine and well, sir.
on all new cars in stock. Your
I turn the
safety
radio
is our
on.
#1 priority. We have masks and gloves
Ugh.
ready for you. Looking for a Hyundai? I'm your guy. Visit nowpartyashyundai.com. Now 3 locations to serve you.
A North York arena named after one of the first black semi-professional hockey players in Canada is finally getting upgrades worthy of its namesake. The federal, provincial, and city of Toronto governments have teamed up on a $2.8 million gut reno job at Herbert H. Carnegie Centennial Center. Carnegie's daughter, Bernice, took part in the virtual announcement today.
He would be to know that you cared enough.
SoundCloud has stopped. Well, I didn't ask for you to do anything.
The building
Oops, why
is
did I
there,
press split?
too,
Okay,
that you're going
boom.
to keep it up.
A new elevator will also be installed on the second floor of the rink on Finch near Bathurst. Herb Carnegie founded one of Canada's first hockey schools, and through his work with young hockey players, he became a member of both the Order of Ontario and the Order of Canada. Coming up in 60 seconds, your business report, 680 News Time, 7:55.
Says, how was jail in Toronto? Must have been pretty hard.
It's different than before.
What is this?
Stronger.
Oh, fuck off. Dude, why is SoundCloud over? Hardcore. It's weird now. If you grew up in the 90s, to go to jail now is weird. I can't quite explain that. Can this get out of the way, please? We got 10 minutes left. It's going to take 11 minutes to pull up the page. Jail in Toronto. While you're in the... Fuck, this thing keeps jamming up. Can something please work? Because I don't feel like trying to answer the question while the machine's acting all retarded. So, is there a fucking reason every input I give it is being ignored? I heard that. Okay, clear that. Thank you. You've cleared everything. Thank you, Android. I needed that notice. Internet radio. Okay, so how is jail in Toronto? Pretty hardcore. It's
2 inches, which is 0.
It's different now. The Toronto South, as a joke, I call it the Toronto South Delta Chelsea. My first time there was 2012, and the second time, no, wait a second. No, that was still. It doesn't matter. They did 2016. I remember for sure I was there. I could remember all the details, but that's not the point. The first 2 times I went to that jail, I went to segregation units where, yeah, they call it segregation. Like it's not the fucking 60s or something. Where it's just you in your cell. You don't mix with anybody. You don't come out of your cell for any reason except court dates. So this last time in November 24th to December 1st, I'm looking for my calendar and my bail papers. They had me on some unit where normally there would be 2 people to a cell. There's 2 floors of 10 cells each, so there's 20 cells, and there should be 2 in each one. Well, there's 2 beds in each one, so you think there'd be 40 guys there. I was number 20 to get brought in, and then from there on, we kept seeing people. I noticed people would disappear overnight and wouldn't be there the next day because of this SARS thing. My only complaint about the jail itself, the Toronto South, is the food rations aren't enough, but that's because I'm vastly underweight. And you get weird things, politics too. The one thing you should get in jail is healthcare. They got 94. They have a medical wing at this jail, Toronto South Detention Center. I call it the Delta Chelsea. 94 beds in the medical wing. When I asked for an HIV test, because over the last year someone threw blood in my face, they come back with, we're not giving you an HIV test. His pat answer is, the only way you can get HIV is blood-to-blood contact. I said, yeah, I know. That's what I said. Blood splashed in my face, and I have open wounds all over my fucking body. So blood-to-blood contact. Oh, no, no, we're not giving you HIV test because the only way you can get HIV is blood-to-blood, which, by the way, I keep repeating that because that's what they said to us. It's not true. It's not true. You get HIV a few different ways. It's bodily fluid to bodily fluid. But let's say you touch something with blood on it and lick your fingers. Yeah, there's a possibility you get HIV from the possibility. It's not the biggest way to get it, but it's possible. You deal with COs that think that they're university graduates of psychology. I don't know how to put this. Jail when it was the Don, up until 2010, 11, jail in Toronto was fucked up. It's not the worst jail in the world. It's nothing like South Africa or American jails, but it's fucked up still. Overcrowding, bad conditions, somebody always getting beat up by somebody for no good reason. I'll give you one example. In November, so what they were doing on this range, this pod, it's all pods. It's like 60, it's 2,000 beds almost. If I remember correctly, there's 1,600 and change in the regular jail, and there's 300 in the weekend facility. We have a whole section of the jail set up for people who are only coming in Friday night, leaving Monday morning, because they lie and say they have a job, so they don't have to serve a straight jail sentence, which I don't recommend doing, because let's say it's 104 days, like 3.5 months, let's say. Instead of doing 3.5 months, you're going to do an entire year going in every fucking weekend, and somehow you're going to fuck that up. So anyway, they were only letting us out a few at a time on this range. There's only 20 of us. They were letting some out in the morning for a couple hours and some out in the afternoon for a couple hours. And I noticed one day there's 4 or 5 white guys that have been let out. The guy's letting me out. I say, so why are you letting me out with all these white guys? Why are you segregating them? He's like, excuse me? I repeat the question again. Oh, well, some people do that, but I don't do that. It's not what I asked you. You are doing it. You're releasing me, the albino, with all these white guys. I've already cussed out 2 or 3 of them for fucking being mouthy to me, trying to get my tea or whatever else. By the way, anything they give you in jail is yours. Don't give it to nobody unless you want to. Bearing in mind, if you try to save something for later and you got a cellmate and they touch it, maybe you should have just ate it. But aside from that, anything they give you is for you. Don't give it to nobody without a fight. Unless it's not a fight worth fighting. That's another story.
The following program is a recording of a live broadcast
2018,
transmitted 7 a.m. Beijing
they put somebody
time.
They claim is schizophrenic in with somebody who shouldn't have been in a cell with anybody.
And the rest of the world. This is the
While the guy was sleeping, the schizophrenic jumps up, stomps on his head, starts smashing his head off the ground, stomping on it, kills him in his sleep.
Friday, January 22nd,
because some boys told him to.
You're listening to the
so even though the doctors say this guy's so crazy, he's in a regular jail and he's being put into regular cells with regular people.
to
You
rescue
can't blame the guy that
21
did it,
trapped
and yet
minors.
you can die that
This
way. They
expressed
put someone
hopes
on the
for
Don
repaired
chair.
relations with the U.S. under President Joe Biden's administration.
I noticed
In theory,
that
yes,
President Biden mentioned
but if they don't
several
let you out of your
times in
cell
his
except for 1 or 2
inauguration
hours a day,
speech the word unity. I think this is precisely what
it's us what's smelling it.
China-US
It's awkward
relationship
trying to
needs
take
at
a
this
crap in a
moment.
room
The
with
social
somebody else
media
there.
app WeChat is
The
marking
air
its
ventilation's
10th
good in this place.
anniversary.
It's the one thing they
In
got good.
business, the resiliency of the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. In sports, IOC officials say they expect the Tokyo Olympics to go ahead this summer. In culture and entertainment, a documentary on Wuhan's fight against the novel coronavirus. Now the day's top stories. Rescue workers have started
So
a
the
drilling
Don jail once
operation
put a
in
guy
an
on a
attempt to
regular
rescue
range in a
21
wheelchair,
workers
but they
trapped
took
for
away his
nearly 2
wheelchair.
weeks in a
Imagine
gold
crawling
mine
around on
in
your
the
hands in
Shandong
jail.
province.
And
22
another
miners
guy
were
on an
trapped
immigration
600
beat spent
meters
more than
underground
7
after a
years in the
blast
Don
on
jail,
January
which is
the
almost
10th in
impossible,
the
but
city
it
of
happens.
Xisha. One of them has been confirmed dead. For the latest on this, we're joined on the line by Hong Yue.
So long story
Good
short,
morning, Hong
Canadian
Yue.
jails are
What
better
are the
than
health
most other places
conditions
in the
of the
world,
trapped miners?
but you could still die
Good
for no
morning,
good reason.
Shane. It's been nearly 2 weeks since the gold mine explosion, and these miners are still trapped underground. Among them, 12 people have been located. 11 of them are together in one tunnel, and the other one is in a tunnel deeper than theirs. However, on Wednesday late night, one of the 11 miners has died after being in a coma for 2 days. Doctors taught the miners to deal with the body of the person, and then they have relocated themselves to another point in the tunnel because there has been leakage of groundwater at their previous location. And the new location has earlier been reached by number 4 drill hole on the site, which has taken over the role as the communication channel with these miners. So far, rescuers have delivered bottles of nutrient solutions, medicine, thermometers, blankets, face masks, and some disinfectants
I
to these
agree, that's
miners.
the correct pronunciation.
And previously, we've reported that some miners asked for pickles and sausages. Now doctors have agreed to deliver them this food since they are now gradually regaining their strength. And actually, some of these miners who are in better physical conditions have helped to search for other people underground, since there are still 10 missing miners. But they didn't find any other people in their tunnel, which is at the depth of about 580 meters. And they've also tried some other ways, including knocking on the rocks, sending signals with laser pointer pins, and or just shouting through a loudspeaker. But they didn't receive any response from the tunnel that's deeper than theirs.
Too loud.
Well, what information can you share with us about the drilling operation right now?
There are only 2 ways to extract the trapped miners. One is through the returner shaft. You can simply think of it as the entrance of the mine. But after the explosion, it has been blocked by a large amount of debris. And clearing up the debris has been one of the most difficult tasks in the rescue operation. While the other way is to lift them to the ground through a larger drill hole, which can be considered a new rescue channel. So this new rescue channel is what we call number 10 drill hole on the site. It has a diameter of 711 millimeters, about the size of a manhole cover. And it just started to work on Wednesday afternoon, and so far it just drilled about 20 meters down. And it aims to reach the depth of about 580 meters, where the 10 miners are now trapped. Earlier, an expert on the site told me the number 10 drill usually can work at a speed of about 10 meters per hour. But due to the complexity of the geological conditions here, as well as the very hard granite, it's hard to make prediction about when it could reach that depth. All about the clearance of the returner shaft. So far, debris above the depth of 358 meters has been cleared up, but this is just 8 meters deeper than about a week ago. And actually, it took about a day for the rescuers to go this hard 8 meters deeper. And experts said this is already a much improved efficiency after they started to use a 2-layer lift to transport rescuers up and down the shaft instead of using a hoisting cage. And yesterday, local authorities said at their 5th press conference that the amount of the blocks has exceeded their expectations. It's expected there are still about 70 tons of debris stuck in the shaft, and it could take rescuers 15 days, or even longer to clear up these debris and reach the miners.
Thank you very much for the update. That's
Not every day, but
reporting
some
from
of
near
them,
the
yes.
explosion site at a gold mine
Some of
in
the cops
Shandong
do
province.
harass us.
Coming up, China expresses hope for better relations with the United States moving forward.
The other thing with Canadian jails, they'll build a cell for 2 guys, put 3 guys in it normally, and 4 guys in it when they feel like it. So it's complicated. In theory, at the Dawn jail, they would open up the cell in the morning and then lock it. So you could either be in the cell or on the range, but you couldn't go in and out of the cell. Some people try and wait, like if it's a court date, they try and wait till they get downtown to Old City Hall or in one of the bullpens at the West Detention at these bullpen cells. There's a whole bunch of you in there while they're waiting for the buses to come take you to court or whatever.
For the Beijing Hour, I'm
You try to be human and not watch the guy take the shit, and you hope that the guy doesn't watch you when you're taking the shit. But I think this last time, the 8 days, from the 24th to the 1st, that 8 days in custody is the longest straight time I've done. I've been in there lots of times.
And restore relations with the United States. Under President Joe Biden's administration, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Hua Chunying made the remarks when she extended China's congratulations to Biden after his swearing in.
I noticed that President Biden mentioned several times in his inauguration speech the word unity. I think this is precisely what the China-U.S. relationship needs at this moment, as during the past 4 years, a small number of anti-China politicians have fabricated too many lies, incited too much hatred, and sowed divisions for their own interests. The people of both countries have suffered deeply.
Hua noted that China-U.S. relations became strained under former President Donald Trump's administration. Hua expressed hope that the Biden administration will help to restore the relationship, but stressed that China will continue to defend its sovereignty. She says differences should not dissuade the two major countries from coexisting in harmony and having dialogue and cooperation. U.S. President Joe Biden's unveiled a national strategy to combat COVID-19 that reflects the ideas he set forward during the presidential campaign. The plan aims to ramp up vaccinations and testing, reopen schools and businesses, and increase the use of masks.
Our plan starts with mounting an aggressive, safe, and effective vaccination campaign to meet our goal of administering 100 million shots in our first 100 days in office. We're on day 1.
100 million.
This will be one of the greatest operational challenges our nation has ever undertaken. And I'm committed to getting it done. We're committed to getting it done.
Biden warns that the crisis will get worse before it gets better, but he promised that help is on the way. And for more on this, on Biden's plan, Guang Hao spoke to Chigurdi DeVay in Washington.
President Biden has put emphasis on vaccination. How is the vaccine rollout going in the US
on Friday
now?
And Monday was a holiday.
This is, getting vaccinations out is a challenge, and his approach is going to be very different. So there are comparisons with the Trump administration, who didn't use the federal government to take charge of giving the vaccines. It was left to each state.
That was 354 George Street, aka 311 Jarvis, that's been closed like 10 years.
Some states, and some cities, you've got San Francisco and New York City, saying that their vaccine supplies are going to run out.
Good, you bore me with his vaccine talk. So they replaced 311 Jarvis with a place out in Brampton.
What the administration is talking about is a change in approach, which is saying there's going to be more
like 180 beds. They had like over 300 complaints in the first year,
for example,
of staff abusing the kids.
And that the federal government is going to support states to set up vaccination centers and
the craziest part
people living in
is that
remote areas.
I beat that case when I was 13. At the age of like 25 or something, in court, the Crown Attorney acting all cocky. Your Honor, I'd like to introduce these 2 assault charges from so-and-so. So your youth record is not destroyed, it's sealed by the Solicitor General. That's if you're convicted. I didn't get some sort of diversion, plea bargain arrangement. I beat the case. And they still had a record that I got arrested at the age of 13 at the Solicitor General's office.
And to fast track therapeutics.
And they tried to introduce it in court.
COVID-19, the development
I gotta sit there and pretend I don't know what they're talking about.
A couple of executive orders. One of them is creating a national pandemic testing board to get more testing available in the US. and something called a COVID-19 Health Equity Task Force to make sure that there's equality in the pandemic response, because
My cynical mind says, yeah, now that it's affecting white people, you want equality.
Shown that minority groups in the United States, Black people,
we need all you minorities to line up and register so we can make sure you get treated equally. Hold on, the Germans tried that in the Netherlands, and so did the French, Napoleon.
Partly because of
which is the only reason Dutch people have last names.
The kind of jobs that they do. Many minorities are frontline workers who are obviously still going to work because of the
Jamaican
pandemic.
Domestic Servants
they
Program
are therefore harder hit by it. So those are the sorts of things he's looking at. Another executive order is to improve the data analysis and data collection about the virus, to try, again, the emphasis on science that the Biden administration has talked about. And this is, of course, on top of the mask mandate on federal property and physical distancing on federal property that Joe Biden signed yesterday.
That was Jagruti Dave in
I'm not certain anywhere it's written in law that you have to keep 2 meters away from people in Canada.
The U.S. House of Representatives has voted to approve a waiver for Lloyd Austin to serve as President Joe Biden's defense secretary. Congress has to pass a waiver to allow the retired four-star general to take the job, as U.S. law requires Pentagon chiefs to be out of the military for at least 7 years. Austin retired in 2016.
Why is that?
He'd be the first African-American to run the Department of Defense, if confirmed by the Senate. Global investors are anticipating that a new China-EU-US triangle will reshape the world's economy under the new administration of U.S. President Joe Biden. For more on this, Xia Chung spoke with Jörg Lutka, president of the EU Chamber of Commerce.
But the United States doesn't get along with Britain or the EU. How's this going to work?
Plan. Are we moving forward to decoupling, or are we going to avoid this concern?
China,
oh shit! Damn it! Fuck. It's okay. We got a time machine here. It should be both channels should be playing the same show.
The U.S. House of Representatives has voted to approve a waiver for Lloyd Austin to serve as President Joe Biden's defense secretary. Congress has to pass a waiver to allow the retired four-star general to take the job, as U.S. law requires Pentagon chiefs to be out of the military for at least 7 years. Austin retired in 2016. He'd be the first African-American to run the Department of Defense if confirmed by the Senate. Global investors are anticipating that a new China-EU-US triangle will reshape the world's economy under the new administration of U.S. President Joe Biden. For more on this, Xia Chung spoke with
the Department of Defense will be run by an African-American,
president of the EU Chamber of Commerce in China.
China is having this new 14th five-year plan. Are we moving forward to decoupling, or are we going to avoid this concern?
China, some areas didn't even couple up, so decoupling is not happening there. Huawei and SETI is the prime cases, or even TikTok in the United States. But you can see that decoupling is going to happen on software and on semiconductors. And I don't think that the Biden administration is going to loosen up on this anytime soon. Hence the report, we in business don't like decoupling. It's making our life more complicated and more costly.
EU seems to be caught in the middle. And, you know, a lot of investors have been talking about the China, US, EU triangle. What's your view regarding this concept?
We are very strong in standard setting. We are very strong in determining where the future on climate change is going to head. So in a way, we are quite important to both parties. But again, we said it many times, we don't want to take sides, we don't want to make choices. We want to maintain this globalization as we had it.
I don't recommend anybody start.
We know it's being challenged, but at least we also want to make sure that we can safeguard our own jobs and economy back home.
And now China and the EU has a new investment treaty. In the meantime, the US is going to push forward its transatlantic cooperation between the US and EU, and Biden is betting big on EU. So how you balance between these two ties?
Well, the investment agreement has been going on for 7 years. Enough is enough. At one stage, political capital, you want it or you don't want it. Luckily, our leaders wanted it. And it's not unusual. I mean, phase one was done, 12 months before between the US and China. So Europe gained basically what the US has gained plus a little bit more. But it's baby steps, really it is. But baby steps are better than standing still.
You know, as Biden takes office, what are the most urgent issues that the EU wants to talk about with Biden?
Well, I think it's rebuilding trust. I mean, US is, I guess it's tackling the bilateral trade issues, Boeing, Airbus, Nord Stream 2, tariff war, finding common ground on some areas. I think we should not start by
how many Boeing 737s in Air China's fleet?
Deep-felt affection by singling out a third party against
it's not money, bro.
I mean, it's going to take really a while because for us as Europeans,
I pay the lowest prices you'll find in North
Trump
America.
4 years the exception, or will be Biden 4 years the exception?
But
I was the president of the EU Chamber of Commerce in China, talking about future bilateral relations under the Biden administration. As U.S. President Joe Biden took office, he had a number of pressing issues waiting on his desk. One impending deadline is the expiration of a nuclear arms treaty with Russia. Biden's approach to the agreement is likely to set the tone for the U.S.-Russia relationship in the next 4 years. Stuart Smith reports from Moscow.
When it comes to Russia, Joe Biden has been unequivocal. He has described the country as the greatest threat to the United States. His team features a number of Russia experts, signaling how seriously he takes America's traditional opponent. In Moscow, no thaw in relations is expected. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov says an anti-Russia agenda will continue.
It's clear that the dominant line of the American state, the American way of life, and American understanding of other countries continues.
One of Joe Biden's first tasks in office will be resuming talks on arms control. The last 4 years have seen a collapse in US-Russia security agreements. America has long accused Russia of violating them. The Trump administration took the step of withdrawing from them altogether. His actions were viewed by the Kremlin as reckless. With Donald Trump out of the picture, Russian officials have no illusions that the relationship will improve, but the channels of communication may start to reopen. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov again.
No, I could have sworn the last couple of days.
With regards to Russia, I have a feeling that the manner will be a bit more respectful, but the essence of the politics is unlikely to change. We're not going to pop the champagne. We're realists. We're not expecting radical changes, but the methods of advancing American leadership will be slightly different.
Experts say even a shift in tone will help maintain stability. Pavel Sharakov is a U.S. expert at the Russian Academy of Sciences.
97,
What is really
737 with
necessary,
200
I
on
think,
order.
is that the two countries would have predictability. Predictability doesn't mean that the relations would be good.
So we found out yesterday they had
the sanctions are
400 million
that
train trips on the
two
spring
leaders
break
are
week.
in good personal relations.
And the 40 days
means
encompassing that, there were
basically
3 billion
the level
trips if they
of
count
threat
airplanes
is
and buses and cars,
lower.
everything too.
Simply
And
because
this year they
both
expected a
countries
total of 400
possess
million.
the nuclear arsenal capable of destroying the whole planet.
Russian officials say relations with the United States are at an all-time low. With the advent of the new administration, many predict the only way is up. For the Beijing Hour, I'm
Surgeon
Stuart
General's
Smith
warning:
in
smoking
Moscow.
by pregnant women may result in fatal injury, premature birth, and low birth rate. It causes SIDS, they have carbon monoxide.
WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom
Some of them have
Ghebreyesus
hydrogen
says
cyanide
the
in them.
announcement is good news for the organization and for global
Some of them
health.
are sprayed with
The
gasoline.
role of the United States, its global role, is very, very crucial. And I send my deep thanks and warm congratulations to President Biden and Vice President Harris and to the American people. Thank you, President Biden, for honoring your pledge to maintain the membership of the United States in WHO. And thank you for your commitment to join COVAX and support the Access to COVID-19 Tools Accelerator.
President Joe Biden's top medical advisor on
That's not going to help
COVID-19,
us get
Dr.
vaccines. We're
Anthony
not
Fauci, announced U.S. support for the WHO on Thursday. Fauci says the U.S. will join the WHO's efforts to bring vaccines to people in need in all countries and resume full funding and staffing of the agency. Under former President Donald Trump, the United States had been the highest profile holdout from the COVAX facility, which seeks to ensure poorer countries have access to vaccines.
No, I've
Both the
not heard
European
Canada
Union
mention
and China
COVAX
have
yet.
given their support to the program, which faces financial difficulties and challenges with vaccine manufacturers. The head of the World Health Organization says the global COVID-19 caseload is expected to hit 100 million by the end of this month. but vaccines have the potential to bring the pandemic under control. The disease has so far infected over 95 million people around the world, with 2 million deaths. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus says COVID-19 vaccinations now underway in more than 50 countries, yet all but 2 of them are high or upper middle income countries. He says that the vaccines complement rather than replace fundamental public health measures. European Union leaders have met to address mounting challenges of new and more infectious coronavirus variants. The leaders also discussed the slow rollout of COVID-19 vaccines during the virtual meeting that was held on Thursday. They were also expected to discuss the closure of the bloc's internal borders in efforts to stop the spread of the virus. Germany's warned that it could unilaterally decide to close its borders if other countries fail to restrict the spread of the new variants. The European Commission says such border closures
no border
could harm
facilities
the
on these
single
borders.
market.
There's never,
Also
not
on the
since
agenda
World War
was the
II, has there been
Commission's
border
proposal to
facilities on these
vaccinate at
borders.
least 70% of the bloc's adults by the summer. A fire broke out Thursday at a building of the world's largest vaccine maker, with no casualties reported. Serum Institute of India says the fire was restricted to a new facility that it's building to increase
What's going
production
to
of
happen
COVID-19
next? I
vaccines.
left out fires.
It says the fires did not
at the
affect existing facilities making COVID-19 vaccines or a stockpile of around 50
every other
million
year, the
doses.
Salvation Army
Companies
warehouse
being
burns
contracted to
down, and they get
manufacture
twice
a
as many
billion
donations as they
doses
claim
of
to have
vaccine
lost.
developed by
I'm not hating their
AstraZeneca
hustle,
and
but it's
Oxford
awesome.
University.
Either somebody
Northern
breaks
Chinese
in,
region
or
saw
somebody
new
burns down the
clusters of
warehouse. Every couple of
COVID-19
years, the
cases this
Salvation Army
week.
here gets hit.
Experts say that all sources of the infection came from outside of China. Feifei has more.
This week saw the latest cluster emerging in southern Beijing. The district of Daxing reported 11 new cases within 3 days. Daxing has collected samples from over 1.5 million local residents as of Thursday, and Chen Yiping is on her way to take the second one. I finished my first nucleic acid test on Monday. I'm now on my way to be tested for the second time. The response to the new cases is very fast. From my community workers to local government officials, they move very fast and make sure everyone is aware of what's going on. Local health authorities found the new cases in the district were infected by the same variant found in the UK. The variant has been reported to be highly infectious. Daxing's district chief Wang Youguo said some 2,000 teachers, students, and their family members have been traced as close contacts of a confirmed case. They've been put under quarantine to reduce the risk of further spread.
More than 60 teachers and medical staff were stationed in the isolation hotels to provide health monitoring, psychological counseling, and other services to ensure that the quarantined teachers, students, and their parents spend the observation period safely and without any problems.
As a result, Beijing announced that schools and other extracurricular activities will be suspended across the city this weekend. At the same time, Hebei, the province that surrounds Beijing, is still fighting their second outbreak.
So it's about 9:30
the capital
Friday
city of
morning.
Shijiazhuang is on its third round of mass testing of 11 million residents. Wang Bing with the National Health Commission said the recent clusters in Beijing, Hebei, and Jilin
Testing a
share
million
some
here,
common
2 million there.
features.
We can't get
All
past
are linked to
70,000.
gatherings such as weddings and training classes. The health authorities also stressed that the source of the cases comes from overseas. Most of these cluster infections are caused by people who entered China
There's a
from other
subtle
countries
narrative there.
or
It's
were
not from
contaminated
here.
by imported cold chain products. Some were caused
chain
by
products.
inadequate management of quarantine places or inadequate protective measures for workers who encountered cold
So I've
chain
been saying for a long
products.
time,
All these are
I
important
much prefer
causes
to eat
of the
things out of
infections.
cans.
MIFON
Last
spokesperson
forever.
with the
You can
commission
wash the
vows
outside
to
of the
take
can.
stricter actions to curb the spread.
We have issued a notice on further improving the prevention and control of the COVID-19 outbreak. It requires all areas to activate the emergency response for the pandemic and improve on tracing. We will also enhance strict quarantine and control measures of key personnel, as well as strengthen medical treatment. Efforts will also be prioritized in rural regions, areas around the airport, and in areas with many migrant workers returning to their hometowns.
Authorities are also calling on people to avoid gatherings and travel during the upcoming Spring Festival that begins next month. For the Beijing Hour, this is Fei Fei.
Coming up, social media app WeChat is marking its 10th anniversary.
Really, it's only 10 years old.
History is made up of
WeChat, Weibo, has,
books spanning
what they
thousands
say,
of years.
38 million users in the United
Follow
States.
the makers and shakers of Chinese
Population
history
of California
podcast,
or
which presents
Canada,
the
depending on
biographies
how
of
you look at it.
20 historic figures who shaped the course of ancient China. Meet the most renowned ancient Chinese rulers, ministers, thinkers, scientists, poets, and
Skip back ahead to the...
to develop a new mini program on WeChat.
Fuck.
5 minutes past the hour. Well, as the Chinese social media app WeChat celebrates its 10th anniversary, many users are saying the service has brought them both convenience and anxiety. Wenxia has more.
Oh, yeah,
WeChat has become the go-to mobile app for a large number of people in China. Nearly 1.1 billion users open WeChat every day for its variety of features, including messaging, mobile payment, making voice or video calls, and reading articles from official accounts. The instant messaging and social media tool also allows users to share photos and videos. Many WeChat users say they have been using the app for years, and it has brought them convenience in their daily life and work.
I've been selling ice jelly on the street for nearly 2 decades. The first thing I do after putting on my stand is to hand my little secretary the QR code to collect payments.
I worked with 2 of my classmates to develop a new mini program on WeChat where users can take photos of food and upload them to receive recipes it recommends accordingly. I hope to solve more small problems in our daily life through mini programs on WeChat.
WeChat has achieved unexpected success since it was launched 10 years ago. However, founder Zhang Xiaolong says one of the core essences of the app is simplicity.
Although WeChat contains more
that.
functions than a decade ago, they have been achieved by the simplest methods, and only when the users want to use them can they see them. WeChat similarly looks no different from when it was launched 10 years ago. If a product is used by 1 billion people, only the simplest one can be the easiest to use.
Despite its user-friendliness, some suggest that people should not rely too excessively on WeChat and let it take up too much of their time. Users cannot help logging into the app to check if there are new messages every few minutes or even seconds, which has sometimes led to anxiety.
It is not necessary to reply to a WeChat message immediately after you receive it. You can set up a designated time range for dealing with
5 years ago, one of the problems they're having is people doing weird shit to get famous.
I think face-to-face communication should be advocated more. Close-knit personal relationships in reality may be much better for us.
There are WeChat features that can help people who have developed anxiety because of excessive use of the app. For example, they can turn off the notification for updates or choose how long they want their shared content to remain public. For the Beijing Hour, I'm Wenjie.
Okay, but when a message comes in, does it beep or vibrate or something?
Now. Checking the forecast before we go to the break, and Beijing today getting cloudy skies with a high of 4 degrees.
Just slightly further ahead.
Just 3 lessons now with unlimited videos, photos, and text tutorials on expression
Yeah, I smoke a
and
lot.
Chinese
2018,
culture.
coming off the
Here I
doctor's
learned
drugs, I
Chinese
started smoking
Facebook
Belmonts because I had the money and I didn't care.
I
started smoking Belmonts because I had the money and I didn't care.
Examining
My
the
conclusion
events
is,
that
since they're not
impacted
Canadian
shaped
blend,
China
that's
and the rest of
gasoline or
the
something
world.
in them.
This is the
I started
Beijing
chain
Hour, 1
smoking in
hour of news and
2018. I haven't
information
stopped
brought to you
since then.
every weekday.
In fact, almost stopped and then
Shane
started.
Matthew on this Friday morning. Still to come in business, the resiliency of the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. In sports, IOC officials say they expect the Tokyo Olympics to go ahead this summer. In culture and entertainment, a documentary on Wuhan's fight against the novel coronavirus. There are a number of ways to contact us. You can talk to us on Twitter at China Plus News or log on to Facebook, China Plus News, for more news, videos, and analysis.
So Facebook is
Now today's
firewalled from
headlines.
China.
Rescue workers
you
have
can't
started
access
a drilling
Facebook from
operation in an attempt to rescue 21 workers trapped for nearly 2 weeks in a gold mine in Shandong
located
province.
12.
22 miners were trapped 600 meters underground after a blast on January the 10th in the city of Qisha. One of the workers has been confirmed dead. Leaders of China and Laos have jointly launched a Friendship Year program. Xi Jinping held talks with his Lao counterpart yesterday, saying that China is ready to actively consider aiding Laos with COVID-19 vaccines. He also called on both sides to advance the construction of the China-Laos Economic Corridor and the China-Laos Railway. China has expressed hopes for work to be done to repair and restore relations with the United States under President Joe Biden's administration. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Hua Chunying made the remarks when she extended China's congratulations to Joe Biden after his swearing in.
I noticed that President Biden mentioned several times in his inauguration speech the word unity. I think this is precisely what the China-US relationship needs at this moment, as during the past 4 years, a small number of anti-China politicians have fabricated too many lies, incited too much hatred, and sowed divisions for their own interests. The people of both countries have suffered deeply.
One noted that China-US relations became strained under former President Donald Trump's administration. While expressed hope that the Biden administration will help restore the relationship, and stressed that China will continue to defend its sovereignty. China says it supports Secretary General Antonio Guterres to seek a second 5-year term at the United Nations. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Hua Chunying says China believes Guterres is a suitable candidate, hailing the UN's contribution to promoting world peace and development. Guterres' current term ends at the end of this year. He said that he is willing to continue to serve the organization. U.S. President Joe Biden's unveiled a national strategy to combat COVID-19 that reflects the ideas he set forward during the presidential campaign. The plan aims to ramp up vaccinations and testing, reopen schools and businesses, and increase the use of masks.
Our plan starts with mounting an aggressive, safe, and effective vaccination campaign to meet our goal of administering 100 million shots in our first 100 days in office. We're on day 1. This will be one of the greatest operational challenges our nation has
That's enough
ever
for all the
undertaken.
English-speaking white people
And
with
I'm
money.
committed to getting it done. We're committed to getting it done.
Well, Biden warns that the crisis will get worse
I
before
got
it gets
this
better,
cynic
but
in
he
my head that says
promised
they're
that
coming to kill
help is
us
on the way.
all the time. I got this
U.S. House
cynic,
of
paranoid
Representatives
cynic in
voted
my
to
head.
approve a waiver for Lloyd Austin to serve as President Joe Biden's defense secretary. Congress has to pass a waiver to allow the retired 4-star general to take the job, as U.S. law requires Pentagon chiefs to be out of the military for at least 7 years. Austin retired in 2016. He would be the first African American to run the Department of Defense if confirmed by the Senate. German Chancellor Angela Merkel says she is not abandoning a German-Russian gas pipeline project that faces U.S. sanctions. The Nord Stream 2 pipeline, which would bring Russian gas to Germany under the Baltic Sea, faces bipartisan opposition in the United States. Washington said that the project would make Europe more dependent on Russian gas and hurt European energy security. The Kremlin's responded by accusing the U.S. government of trying to promote its own liquefied natural gas. Merkel says she wants to talk to the new Biden administration.
If Russia doesn't tap the gas and sell it, you know what happens? It
in the
vents
gas
into the air.
sector and what should be acceptable. The pipeline construction was suspended in December 2019 when a Swiss firm pulled its vessels out of the project amid threats of U.S. sanctions. Nord Stream 2 is owned by Russian state
By the way,
gas company
Switzerland has a
Gazprom,
tax
with
treaty with the
investment from
United
several
States.
European
There's no
countries.
secret bank account if you're American in
The head
Switzerland.
of the World Health Organization says the global COVID-19 caseload is expected to hit 100 million by the end of this month, but vaccines have the potential to bring the pandemic under control. The disease has so far infected over 95 million people around the world, with 2 million deaths.
Were we not at
Tedros
90 in
Adhanom
December?
Ghebreyesus says COVID-19 vaccinations now underway in more than 50 countries, yet all but 2 of them are high or upper middle income countries. He also says that vaccines complement rather than replace fundamental public health measures.
Like running water.
A fire broke out Thursday
Proper
at the building of the
latrines.
world's largest vaccine maker, with no casualties reported.
This is
Serum
Belgium.
Institute of India says the fire was restricted to a new facility that is building to increase production of
Saboteurs.
COVID-19 vaccines. It
Saboteurs.
says the fire did not affect existing facilities making COVID-19 vaccines, or a stockpile of around 50 million doses. The company has been contracted to manufacture 1 billion doses of the vaccine developed by AstraZeneca and Oxford University. This is Shane Bigham live from the Chinese capital. Coming up in business, the resiliency of the Hong Kong Stock Exchange.
You're listening to the Beijing Hour. 60 minutes of comprehensive news. Your window on China and the world.
37 past the hour now. Turning to business, Swiss bank Credit Suisse predicts that China's economic growth will increase to over 7% this year. The bank says China's economy will remain strong in the first quarter of 2021. And consumption is expected to become the main driving
Canadian
force
pension
of
money
growth
keeps
in the
pouring
next
into
few
China
years.
as risks
As the world's
escalate.
only
Beijing
major
only too
economy to
eager for
post
foreign
positive
capital to
growth in
prop
the
up
pandemic
Chinese
shadow
economy.
year, China saw its GDP surpass the 100 trillion yuan threshold for the first time in 2020.
Yeah, that's
the chairperson of Hong Kong Exchanges and Clearing says
state-owned
its capital
enterprises
markets
took in
remain
less money
resilient
last
despite
year,
the challenges
but had a higher,
of the past year,
had more
and in many
profits.
ways came out of 2020 stronger than ever. Laura Cha says Hong Kong's role as an international financial center connecting the mainland and the rest of the world will be more relevant than ever, despite significant market volatility around the globe. Even the fluctuations in global financial markets, even with those, Hong Kong Exchange saw steady growth in 2020, ranking it the second largest globally in terms of IPO fundraising.
So why don't you do
Mega
6-day-a-week check
listings
clearing
of
anymore?
US-traded
Who
mainland
told you to stop
companies,
doing that on
including
Saturdays?
JD.com and NetEase, brought fresh vitality. In
Heckle everybody. You only get one
2020,
chance.
new economy companies, which largely refers to tech firms, made up around 60% of Hong Kong's IPO fundraising. Hong Kong's become the world's second largest biotech fundraising center. With more on this, we're joined by
what?
Ronald Wen, the CEO of Partners Financial Holdings.
The fuck is a biotech fundraising center?
Good morning. Many tech companies from the mainland are fast-tracking their IPO moves in Hong Kong. Market analysts also predict the trend of homecoming listings will continue this year. So what makes the market a sweet spot right now for internet and tech companies?
I think Hong Kong has a very distinct advantage because it's the international financial center of China. So basically, for all those tech firms, listed in the States or the other countries, actually attracted by these reasons. Well, we all know that Hong Kong is one of the major, IPO fundraising centers, and in the past few decades in the world. And the market concentration and the market depth and the investors' response has been very positive and still developing. So I think it attracts a lot of companies, particularly for the internet and tech companies, to return home. And also, as proven by its track record, Hong Kong actually, provide a very strong fundraising platform for them as well. They can raise huge amounts of money, and these are actually very positive factors for they to choose Hong Kong as a listing place.
The Hong Kong market saw record turnover, $36 billion as of Tuesday. That's the highest since 2015. So what do you make of the market boom?
I think there have been some sort of reasons behind. First of all, liquidity has been strong. A lot of domestic investors in China actually choose Hong Kong as a investor's place, and we actually see a lot of choices for them to invest as well, in particular for the internet and tech stocks, which I have mentioned earlier on, which were original listed in the state. Secondly, people have been kind of positive, towards the development of the vaccine against the COVID-19. So I think business will be back to normal. Maybe not now, maybe towards the second half of this year. And finally, people place a sort of positive expectation between China and U.S. relationships. People have some sort of positive hope for both countries to work together again in future. There are a lot of these reasons actually adding momentum to the Hong Kong stock market, and by action, they actually invest huge amount of money in the stock as well. This actually added to the performance of Hong Kong Stock Exchange recently, and a very strong and booming market.
Thank you very much for joining us this morning. That's Ronald Wen, the CEO of Partners Financial Holdings, sharing his insights into the growing interest of global investors into China's capital market. 44 past the hour, prices for pork, mutton, and beef have all gone up in China ahead of the upcoming Spring Festival holiday. Wow. Data by the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs shows that the average price of beef in the first week of 2021 rose to nearly 77 yuan, or roughly $12 per kilogram. That's up 9% year on year. The Chinese central bank has removed its limits on credit card interest rates, allowing issuers to set their own rates for overdrafts. The move is expected to fuel competition among conventional commercial banks with their fintech rivals. Zhang Xuan has more.
Chinese have been getting used to spending money in advance for more than 30 years, since the first credit card was issued here in 1985. But most users we talk to don't seem too sensitive about how much they're actually paying in interest if they don't make their payments on time. I never pay attention to the interest rate. China's central bank previously set a lower limit on daily interest rates of 0.7 times 0.05%. The upper limit was the full 0.05%, which in fact most banks followed. But what did that actually mean to card users? What would you think if the bank charges you an interest rate of 0.05% a day?
I have no idea about the amount.
Actually, that's equivalent to an annual rate of 18.25%. What do you think of that?
Oh, that's awful. It's too much.
Under the new policy, credit card issuers can set their own interest rates for overdrafts. But when we contacted some banks, most told us that they had not yet changed their rates.
The interest rate for overdrafts has always been 0.05%. We haven't changed it. It's not as if we negotiate with you if you don't pay on time, but if you really have trouble paying, you can negotiate with us. The rate has always been 0.05%.
Industry insiders believe that the removal of the interest rate caps is expected to bring lower interest rates in the future. However, with flexible interest rates, banks will be able to attract customers by introducing differentiated credit card products and lower overdraft interest rates to lure users from online platforms, which now help users take out small loans. Last August, the Chinese Supreme People's Court slashed legal private lending rates to 15.4% from a previous cap of between 24% and 36%. While the new private lending limit is not closely linked to the rates at commercial bank credit cards.
That was Zhang Xuan reporting.
So in Ontario, anything above 62% used to be a criminal charge of usury.
The Tokyo Olympics go ahead this summer.
But I see ads now for payday loans that are like 260% for years.
Hi, I'm Kathy Freeman. You're listening to the Beijing Hour.
Hi everyone, I'm Lang Lang. Welcome to the Beijing Hour.
The Beijing Hour, your window to China and the world.
47 past the hour now. Turning to sports, here's Youngwon.
Thank you, Shane. International Olympic Committee President Thomas Bach says he expects the Tokyo Olympic Games to go ahead as scheduled this summer, despite mounting speculation about the possibility of the event being postponed or even cancelled amid the pandemic. Bach told the Japanese news agency Kyodo that there's no plan B and they are fully committed to making these games safe and successful. While the debate goes on, former IOC Vice President Dick Pound weighed in with his opinions, claiming the Tokyo Games could go ahead without fans. His words come as recent polls in Japan show 80% of the public believed Olympics should not happen. In football, Liverpool's 68-game unbeaten run at home in the Premier League came to an end as the defending champions lost to Burnley 1-0. Ashley Barnes fired home a late winner from the penalty spot after he was tripped by goalkeeper Alisson with 7 minutes remaining.
Okay, well, I guess we're not going to hear the COVID numbers from this guy. Come on, take over. Come on. There it goes.
Followers on social media. The race went to a runoff and Warnock won.
Considered.
Looking back on it, McCautry says she's not surprised by the result.
When you get a bunch of winners
together. What do you think the outcome will be?
Before she left, McCaffrey had
death.
played for the Dream for about as long as Leffler's been a co-owner. Initially, she says players supported Leffler's leadership and her political ambitions.
So at first we were
US.
excited, like, oh wow, this is
All
cool.
things considered, it's NPR,
Kelly's running for Senate. That should be interesting. Maybe that might open some doors.
But when Leffler criticized Black Lives Matter, McCaffrey saw it as a sort of betrayal of the league's players who are mostly Black.
How can you look your girls in the face after that and be an owner of a team?
Other players in the league also made it
keep
clear
saying they own the
wanted
team.
Leffler
You don't
to
say they
sell
own the
her
franchise
49%
or the
stake
company
in the
name. You
team.
keep saying they own the
Last
team.
summer,
They
the
own the
players'
players.
union tweeted a photo
Players
of Leffler
and owners.
spelling out the words "enough" and "out." And prospective buyers lined up quickly. LeBron James tweeted that he was thinking of putting together an ownership group for the Dream. Big names like Mookie Betts of the Los Angeles
These
Dodgers
assholes have been,
and tennis legend Billie Jean
maintaining the
King
status quo
replied that they were
forever.
interested.
As long as they
For
get their
her
millions,
part,
they don't give a
Atlanta
fuck what
Dream
happens
player
to. They don't
Tiffany
give a fuck
Hayes
what happens to
thinks
poor
it's
people,
time to
black
move
or
on.
white.
Like
Why
we
would
did
they?
our part. Like we got the world to see us. We got the world to vote. We got George to vote. And after seeing the impact of their support for Warnock, the players say they have no plans to stop mixing political activism and basketball. Emma Peasley, NPR News.
Post-COVID numbers, Shane, big, whatever the fuck the guy's name is.
Says he's had some symptoms and he's following medical orders for recovery. In the UFC, Conor McGregor says he's looking.
I don't care about that. I want to hear this COVID thing again.
Championship in one country this summer rather than across the continent as planned. The tournament, still titled Euro 2020, was postponed by 12 months due to the pandemic and is scheduled to start on June the 11th in 12 cities across Europe. UEFA President Alexander Tsipras said last week he was hopeful vaccination programs moving at different speeds across the various host countries would be the keys to sticking to the plan. UEFA is expected to make a decision on the fate of the tournament in March.
You want to play in countries that don't have running
Manchester
water.
City striker Sergio Aguero announced on his Twitter account on Thursday that he tested positive for COVID-19. He says he has been self-isolating after close contact, and his latest test came with a positive result. The Argentine international says he's had some symptoms and he's following medical orders for recovery.
Yeah, but he didn't follow the orders.
In the UFC, Conor McGregor says he's looking forward to making a statement in his first bout in a year. The former two-weight champion returns to the cage, fighting against Dustin Poirier on Sunday.
I want my highlight reel to be like a movie. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm after. I'm looking to get in and perform and put on amazing highlights that I can sit as an old man with my son and just watch back and just enjoy life. Man, I have plenty of motivation. Dustin's a hell of a competitor. What does the champ do? He does it twice. Okay, I conquered it. Let's conquer it again. You know what I mean? Do it twice. That's what the champ does.
McGregor's last fight was the 42nd domination of Donald Cerrone in January
trying to figure out his
year.
accent.
A win on Sunday could put McGregor in line for another title shot.
These UFC guys started out
London Marathon organizers say the 2021 race will again take place in October instead of the traditional April slot. Race director Hugh Brasher says he's confident that the vaccination program will help the staging of the events.
With what the government has been saying about Britain being vaccinated by that stage, we are incredibly hopeful, positive, optimistic that the event will take place for 50,000 people running from Greenwich to Westminster.
The 2021 London Marathon is now scheduled for October the 3rd. Last year's race was postponed from April to October due to the coronavirus pandemic and then changed to a virtual event where most participants completed distance from home.
You're going to spit out droplets.
In the CBA, Liaoning defeated Zhejiang Golden Bulls 117-107 in the top 4 clash, with guard Guai Lun collecting 26 points and 8 assists. After a seesaw 3 quarters, Liaoning expanded the gap through a 12-4 run in the 4th en route to its victory. OJ Mayo ended 20-21 for Liaoning. Also on Thursday.
Tell us about movie ticket sales in Beijing. Come on, Shane. Tell us. Something useful.
And volunteers when the central Chinese city was ravaged by the pandemic. The film was premiered in Beijing on January the 16th. Detective Chinatown 3, the newest installment in China's well-received Detective Chinatown film franchise, is slated to land in theaters in 25 Middle Eastern and African countries on February the 12th, the same day as its release in China. Production company Wanda Pictures made the announcement on Thursday via social media, releasing an English-language trailer for the movie. Spring Festival is a major holiday for the Chinese people, marking the first day on the Chinese lunar calendar. And that falls on February the 12th this year. The week-long Spring Festival.
I got New Year's Eve this year. All right.
It's usually a busy, lucrative season for cinemas in China. Detective Chinatown 3 will join 6 other domestic titles for release on February the 12th. China's box office continues to see robust growth in 2021 after scoring a record high for New Year's Day earnings. The total box office revenue so far this year has exceeded 2.6 billion yuan.
2.6 billion. Anything's pretty good.
Silk Road once served as an important economic and cultural bridge between the East and the West. To help people learn more about the exchange on that legendary route, the new Maritime Silk Road Museum is open in the city of
in China, they know people aren't going to pay $22 US just to sit and move.
A new door opens, reviving the old cultures of the Maritime Silk Road. Covering an area of nearly 11,500 square meters, the Shimao Maritime Silk Road Museum displays around 2,000 cultural relics, from porcelain and tea sets to silk that were famous along the legendary oceanic route.
In addition to the displays, we also use digital and interactive multimedia. We hope the audience is able to explore this museum with their own eyes, ears, and hands, so they can gain a better understanding about the cultures of the Maritime Silk Road.
Flourishing between the 2nd century BC and 15th century, the Maritime Silk Road served as a gateway of trade and cultural exchange between ancient China and foreign countries.
Quanzhou is the starting point of the ancient Maritime Silk Road, and the city of Shishi is also my hometown. The culture of the Maritime Silk Road was spread to Southeast Asia and other countries from here. That's why I built this museum right here.
This museum is established by Shimao Group, a global real estate giant, and is backed by the Palace Museum, one of Beijing's most iconic landmarks. The latter is showcasing more than 300 relics in the Maritime Silk Road Museum and is promising to display more in future.
Collaborations like this between a national museum and a private one set a good example. In future, national museums will give more support to private ones, and our expertise in protecting and managing relics will help them better manage their own museums.
The Maritime Silk Road Museum will officially open to the public on Thursday. Its hopes will provide a window and insight into a sometimes neglected history. Connectivity and exchanges are fundamental to the Maritime Silk Road. This museum plans to cooperate with more domestic and foreign museums to showcase more cultural relics to people around the world.
Can you just keep making bandanas, please? I need a few more.
58 past the hour. Let's check the forecast before we go for the day. And Beijing is expecting cloudy conditions with a high of +4 Celsius. It'll be dipping down to -7 tonight. Chongqing sunny in 13, below 5. Lhasa sunny in 10, and then all the way down to -9 this evening.
Basically, it'll be a 5-minute Chinese lesson.
Alternative social media sites that have been gaining popularity lately. I mean, one of Parler's biggest supporters was a major donor to former President Donald Trump, and Parler's calling card is being aggressively hands-off when it comes to what people can say and post. But the issue is sometimes that approach has, let things like hate speech and violence go untouched.
Yeah, well, and what does today's decision mean for its future? Is this the end of Parler?
Very well may be. I mean, Parler said that, Amazon's move, cutting its ties, may mean the extinction of Parler. We just have to see.
Confused how Amazon's tied
right
to
when
an
it
app.
happened, Mary Louise, Parler's CEO said, "Oh, don't worry, everyone, we'll be back up in no time." But that hasn't been so easy because the company's basically become persona non grata on the internet, and that's because of its role in the Capitol riots. I mean, many planned the violence and documented it at length on Parler, which has now turned into a business problem. I mean, the last 6 web hosts Parler has reached out to have refused to work with them. Now, Parler and its 15 million users say that is unfair. But, you know, I talked to many researchers and hate speech experts, and they, on the other hand, are very much welcoming this news of Parler being pushed off the internet.
You've given us a taste of what Parler has been saying in its defense. Have they reacted yet to
Taking the app off the stores don't stop
Not
them
yet,
from
but
using it.
Parler's
Shutting it down
website,
in your
if you go
country
to
doesn't
it,
mean
is
they'll
now
shut it
just
down.
sort of a shell. It's like
It'll
this
just throw
landing
the
page.
management
It
and
has
all
a
those hateful
welcome note,
people
and
to
you
the
can't
winds. They'll
post or
scatter
share
and
anything or create an account. But it does have a note from Parler's CEO, and it says, quote, "We will not let civil discourse perish." So Parler is saying that they will try to find a way somehow to reemerge.
And just situate this in the context of the many legal battles that big tech finds itself straight in the middle of these days.
Yeah. So on the one hand, here's this relative upstart, you know, testing the power of big tech, and this decision shows big tech won. But, you know, there's another story here, and I think it's that this is really a window into how tech companies, you know, Parlers of the world, but smaller ones, you know, too, are grappling with the future of speech online. I mean, the insurrection attempt on the Capitol, you know, has caused what some are calling the great deplatforming, right? We saw Trump get banned on social media and now so many others. So these kinds of push and pull battles over the balance between, you know, free
Remember, I get
speech and
blocked on
content
Twitter because I
moderation,
followed like
they are
1,600
just
police
heating up.
officers.
Thank you, Bobby.
Thanks, Mary
They
Louise.
blocked me. They started asking me to confirm over and over with my cell phone
Support
number.
for
You
all
already got
tech
my cell
considered
phone number.
comes
What
from
trick is
C3.
this? What are you going to trick me into
C3.ai
agreeing
software
to?
enables organizations to use artificial intelligence at enterprise scale, solving previously
I got
unsolvable
to like,
business
I was following
problems.
1,800
Learn
people.
more
About
at
1,600 were
C3.ai.
police officers.
And from Atlassian, makers
They
of
did that.
collaboration software like Jira and Trello.
Then I set up a new account, and they did it
83%
before
of
I got to
Fortune
200,
500
following
companies
200
use
people.
Atlassian to help teams stay agile, aligned, and connected. Learn more at Atlassian.com.
How do I say?
All these are on sale.
些商品都打折，
打几折？
How do I say it's too expensive? More cheap.
Tim, now it's time to empty your wallet.
Infrared.
You may hear the salesperson say,
I have
请
diarrhea.
到款台交
There's
钱。
expensive food and
请
cheap food.
到款台交钱. So what does that mean?
It means please pay at the cashiers.
I see. So it's not free. 请 means please.
到
Yeah,
to
real
go
close.
to.
请
到
款台 the cashiers.
Doji.
款台
交钱 to pay for it.
交钱.
请到款台交钱. Please pay at the cashiers.
请到款台交钱.
Now, if you want to wrap up what you bought, you may ask in this way. 能帮我包起来吗？
能帮我包起来吗？
能 means could.
能
帮 to help.
帮
我
Now,
包
680
起
News
来
regional weather
wrap
conditions.
something up.
包起来。
吗 question mark.
Mandarin.
能帮我包起来吗？
能帮我包起来吗？
wrap it up for me?
我要这件。
We'll come back to you, CRI. We will. We always do.
Snow is stopped there, sitting now at -1 with an overcast sky. And in Lindsay, 2 degrees with some light snow. 680 news time, 9 o'clock.
Number 1 for breaking news, traffic, and weather.
So I did not subscribe to that newspaper. It just ended up in my mailbox.
And Christine Ritchie.
I'm Richie, Chris.
Good evening. This is Thursday, January 21st.
Here's what's making news this hour.
A tunnel collapse at a construction site in Mississauga has claimed the life of a man in his 30s. 3 others were able to escape.
The Japanese government privately concluding that the rescheduled Summer Olympics will have to be canceled altogether due to the pandemic.
Now they just said.
Despite traveling stateside over the holidays, it looks like Halton's police chief will be keeping his job.
facing troubling accusations of workplace
So
harassment.
remember, they're going off yesterday's news, and these people are going off Friday morning's
Will be
news.
picked in due course. The statuses of injured Phillies, Austin Matthews and Joe Thornton are still pretty vague. We're expecting more details on both of them. Pascal Siakam is questionable for tomorrow, and the Olympic Games are in jeopardy. Sports at 15.
We're all after it, but where did it come from originally? We got a new interesting reporting on the origins of currency. Money maker for the NASDAQ.
So somebody in the Netherlands researched this and made a report, and these guys give their opinion on the report.
901.
Traffic and weather together.
Well, these pieces of bronze weighed the same amount, even though they were shaped into different shapes.
Associates. Right now on the southbound 427, we've got construction at Rathburn, and the collectors is taking over the left lane, and then just coming in now, looks like we've got construction at Rathburn and the Express as well. That one would be a right lane blocked off for construction. So the left lane in the collectors, a right lane in the Express is blocked at Rathburn. And neither of those are causing delays, so you're fine. Your 404 drive in and out of the city, DV, it's all up to speed right now. Same with the 401, the QEW Gardner combo's moving well. We just have westbound QEW at Guelph Line, a left lane closed for maintenance. And on city streets in Mississauga, north and southbound Cawthra, south of Burnham Thorpe, we've got lanes blocked there for an ongoing police investigation. For all your personal and corporate tax accounting needs, call Mark Feldstein and Associates Chartered Professional Accountants. Visit markfeldstein.ca. That's markfeldstein.ca. Your next report's at 9:11 with the forecast. Natasha Ramsahai.
Flurries tonight down to low -1, wind chill -7. By early tomorrow morning, we've got a cold front coming through. That's going to bring a burst of snow, even heavy at times here. Trace to 2 centimeters for Toronto, but significantly higher amounts as you move north. Now that cold front pushes through. We've got temperatures falling to -4, wind chill -12, gusty northwest winds, and then lake effect snow and snow squalls. A very classic setup here right through the day on Friday. So watch if you are driving, you'll be running into your sun, then whiteout conditions, then sun, then whiteout conditions on and off through the day. Tonight we're down to a low -1 degree.
They're the same drive every 30 seconds.
Feeling like -2 with the partly cloudy sky.
Did not specify the wind chill on Saturday.
A man in his 30s has died after an industrial accident in Mississauga. Peel Police Constable Danny Martini tells 680 News it happened near Cawthra and Hyacinth and near Bloor just before 6 tonight.
It involved a male believed to be in their 30s at a construction site that's actually underground. That they had gotten injured in the tunnel, I guess it would be called. They were extracted. Unfortunately, even with paramedics working on them, they were pronounced deceased on scene.
Martini says 3 others were able to get out of the tunnel without injuries. The Ministry of Labour will be investigating the incident.
It's not difficult
Julie
to
Payette
calculate.
is resigning as Governor General of Canada. This comes after months of allegations of a toxic workplace at Rideau Hall that eventually led to an investigation into her behavior. 680's Parliament Hill reporter Cormac McSweeney with the details.
The resignation comes after a scathing report was submitted to the government around allegations of a toxic work environment under the Governor General.
As Governor General. She ate the seal meat, and everybody flipped out. And it's like, well, this is our land, so if you want her to have it, it's the best meat.
She does not recognize her own role in that, but says out of respect to the office and country, she's resigning. In July, allegations first surfaced from former and current staff who described
you're not allowed to resign.
as a house of
handed the
horrors.
job by the
They told the
Windsor
CBC of frequent outbursts and berating that brought some to tears and others to leave their jobs. Even the Union for RCMP officers says Mounties on the Governor General Protection Detail did experience harassment and other troubling behavior. The Prime Minister also releasing a statement saying this provides an opportunity for new leadership at Rideau Hall. On an interim basis, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court will fill in as Governor General until a replacement is picked in due course. Cormac makes Parliament Hill.
680 News Time 9:05. Breaking news from Japan, where you have to find another source for your decathlon or gymnastics fix. The 2020 Summer Games, which became the 2021 Summer Games, are now the canceled Summer Games.
The COVID-19 pandemic has already pushed back the 2020 Tokyo Olympics once. Now it looks like it might have to be canceled altogether. The Times reporting that the Japanese government have privately concluded that the teams will have to be called off, and Tokyo is hoping to host the 2032 Olympics. Japan's prime minister says the event would bring hope and courage to the world. Right now, nothing is official. Opening ceremonies still scheduled for July 23rd. From Sportsnet 590 The Fan, I'm Zach
Speak English better than you, motherfucker.
680 News Time 9:05. Halton's police chief saying he's staying put despite calls for Stephen Tanner's resignation after his controversial trip to Florida. 680's Madison Fitzpatrick joins us live with the details.
Staying put with regards to his resignation or staying in Florida?
Yes, Don,
He's still in Florida.
The Police Services Board says it has full confidence in Chief Stephen Tanner. This after learning Tanner traveled to Florida over the holidays, reportedly to take care of property-related issues. The board says it's disappointed in a now former chair
in Canada, one of the largest places outside of Canada that you'll find Canadians is Florida. It's one of the largest. They call them.
In a statement, Tanner says, "I have previously apologized openly to all of our members and to the public, and will return next weekend and follow
eventually get old enough to just stay in your condo in Florida and stop coming back to Canada.
And will take no further action." Reporting live.
So it is actually socially acceptable, not even unexpected for him to have a house.
From COVID-19 continue to see rising infection rates. 680's Phil Martino joins us with what
being a civilian police officer in one of two countries supposedly military allies that are in peace and are
Dr. Eileen Davila says the most recent public health data captured a distinct change in reported infection rates in November. South Asian and Indo-Caribbean people had the highest case rates of all ethno-racial groups.
This was 3.8 times higher than the rest of the population.
Mayor John Tory says the city has implemented measures to support neighborhoods experiencing higher COVID-19 numbers, including expanding testing sites. Toronto Community Housing, with the help of public health, have also conducted 5 door-to-door testing initiatives since April.
The most recent initiative occurred last week, where approximately 220 residents were actually tested in North York as a result of being encouraged to do so by this broader engagement initiative.
I'm Phil Martino.
Here with All News Radio 680 News, it's 9:07. The federal government is updating its vaccine rollout strategy as Premier Doug Ford speaks with the head of Pfizer Canada, pleading with the company to pick up the pace of its vaccine deliveries. Our Mark Douglas takes a look.
I think that's what sets the Indian factory on fire.
In the upcoming weeks, Major General Danny Fortin, in charge of Canada's vaccine distribution, says Pfizer has told Ottawa that in the first week of February, there will be a shipment of 79,000 more doses. But that's only 20% of what should have been sent that week. Fortin says Pfizer, though, is still committed to getting 4 million doses into Canada by the end of March. But their manufacturing plant upgrade in Belgium has put a stop to all shipments for now. Ontario Premier
Tell them we won't send them any more toilet paper. They don't send us the vaccine. They're going to come back and say we don't have the days.
Meet the obligations of the contract. His lives right now are in jeopardy.
Ford says he's already spoken with the CEO of Pfizer
seriously,
Canada.
the vaccine prevents future infection, right?
We're the largest customer in Canada.
At Queen's Park,
I'm Mark Canada. See how they dial it back?
Britain's largest music festival has fallen victim to the pandemic for the second year in a row.
I knew that was going to come up.
Glastonbury 2020 celebrating the massive annual.
No, when you get rid of that background music, I'll turn it back up. No. So the Glastonbury Festival is canceled. I'm not turning it up. She is the most horrible looking. I'm not saying I'm pretty, but I'm not pretending to be.
Things too iffy to make plans.
I'm just tired of being shown images of white girls being told, this is beauty. And I say, no, it ain't. And they say, yes, that's what you think. And I say, no.
Coming up in 30 seconds, we'll see if gas prices are on the move at midnight.
680 News Time 909. Being right matters.
So if our weather forecast is off by more than 3 degrees,
Okay, so China's got the most stable economy in the world, and it's the most dangerous to invest in. Japan is doing the Olympics, they're not doing the Olympics. Vaccines, all that will save us. Vaccines are not what will save us.
on 680 News.
I couldn't put this one together any better, but
It's something
within
you hear
minutes.
a lot this time of year. Making space in your life is what a new year is for. Get a fresh start in your home and your life with Access Storage. With a safe place to store the belongings.
It's about to go to sports. No, it's not. So I read the $500 million donation for Facebook. The ties between Canada's elite and powerful and the Chinese regime. Where's the other one? Oh, China had COVID-like patients months before official timeline. Yeah, September. Spain had them in March. What else we got? Canada at a crossroads, facing an aggressive Beijing. Ooh, special report. Communist China's silent war against the West. For decades, CCP has been using apostrophe, unrestricted warfare, end apostrophe, to weaken allied Western nations, including Canada, from within. How Chinese data trove of 2 million people, including Canadians, serves Beijing's unrestricted warfare. Some here it says at least 5,000 Canadians, among them Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Conservative Party leader Aaron O'Toole, was recently leaked to Western media. Calgary mayor, other officials, target of Chinese regime influence, which is strange because this guy's name appears to be Hindustani, Indian. Calgary, and I say that because we got Indian status here, is a different thing. Generational threat. U.S. taking unprecedented steps to counter communist China. The ties between Canada's elite and powerful and Beijing.
This does sound fantastic today. Get started
conflicting information here.
Scotiabank.com/investing.
There was more here, too.
Plus, only from Scotiabank.
Canadian pension money keeps pouring into China as risks escalate. I think it's right there.
Together on the ones, Curly. Out of here.
Beijing only too eager for foreign capital to prop up Chinese economy. That's funny because they're kicking American Western influences out of China all the time.
Not a lot of volume, which is good. It means people are staying home. But southbound on the 427.
It means more of them are in each car.
In the collectors, a left lane is closed, and in the express, a right lane is closed. This is just for some maintenance work going on, so no delay because of that. And on the westbound QEW, way out at Guelph line, a left lane is closed down due to construction there. That's all. That's it. That's all we have going on the major routes right now.
Bullshit!
Traffic spotter phoned in saying eastbound 401 express lanes approaching the DVP. We have a collision. I've checked all the cameras. I can't seem to spot it, but if I'm missing it or if it's a little bit further east or a little bit
there's times when even God blinks.
All
these security cameras.
I might have driven away by now. Other than that, we just have on city streets in Mississauga, north and southbound Cawthra, we have lane restrictions south of Burnham, and that's due to a police investigation. Your next report's at 9:21.
There's nothing to report except there might be a glitch. Right.
Flurries
You didn't
tonight
want to
down
treat
to
it as
-1.
real
That's
because you
going to turn
couldn't see
into
it.
some snow heavy at times, on and off through the day tomorrow. We also have this cold front coming through, so temps are dropping from -1 down to -4, wind chill -12, gusty northwest winds, and that's what's going to drive lake effect snow and squalls to the north. Saturday morning, still lingering lake effect snow. Collingwood, Blue Mountain could be waking up to a total of 30 centimeters by early Saturday.
And no
Toronto will be
skiers.
partly
Not
cloudy through the
allowed.
afternoon, but cold this weekend, highs of -6. Overnight tonight down to low of -1 degree. And we are still sitting at 3 degrees, feeling like -2 under a partly cloudy sky. 680 News Time, 9:13.
And remember, 680 News, the only Toronto radio station with a weather guarantee. Our jackpot for today, $25,100 for your chance at the cash at the 680news.com/contests. A star of a popular 1990s sitcom getting help for a health crisis. A representative.
I don't care who it was.
After being diagnosed with cancer, the rep for the star of the original Saved by the Bell series says Diamond has finished his first round of chemo, and his second round is now being scheduled. No details. have been provided
Less than
about
2
the
months
type of
ago,
cancer
this guy was
involved
giving
or
an
what
interview
his
to an
prognosis
article
might be.
about how all these fake stories of him dying aren't real.
From 1989 to 1993, he was in 2 of the spin-offs, but is not in the current reboot that was launched on Peacock last fall.
So there was fuck, what was it? They brought him back for some reason to be like the career counselor or peer counselor to the next generation of kids. It's Screech from fucking Saved by the Bell, Dustin Diamond. No, I laugh not because the man has cancer. I don't believe the article's true because I see it on my Google thing here the last 4 days. No mention of it here. The last article I read about him, for some reason they pop up these, hey, white people TV show from the 90s, white people TV show from the 90s. It's like, I only watched that shit because it was all that was on. Fucking. And in his interview he gives, he says that all these stories of him being dead aren't true. None of them are true. They're weird as hell, funny as hell, but they're not true. Yeah, stage 4 cancer. I'm like, yeah, right.
ZipRecruiter, get a quote.
No, they're supposed to have 2 sources if they're not going to reveal them. This guy, whoever the official representative is for him, I'd love to hear who that is and what their actual involvement is, because I don't believe it, because I just read the guy say that this happens all the time.
This is All News Radio, 680 News. Partly cloudy, free degrees, feeling like -2 in downtown Toronto. Good evening, I'm Scott Burnett.
And I'm Christine Ritchie. Here are the top stories.
I'm Richie, Christine.
A tunnel collapsed at a construction site in Mississauga tonight, claiming the life of a man in his 30s.
Construction sites don't go sideways, they go down and then back up. What's this tunnel bullshit?
To escape the tunnel, the victim, though, was pronounced dead at the scene. The Ministry of Labor has been called in to investigate.
The Summer Olympic Games in Tokyo will be a no-go.
You know what happens? Somebody gets a fine. I set you up at work to die. Our boss gets a $50,000 fine.
Due to the ongoing pandemic, Japan is expected to focus on securing the games for the next available year, which isn't until 2032.
We could hear as soon as tomorrow some of the details in an independent.
These white people tell you getting the Olympics is a huge honor and it helps your economy.
Governor General Julie Payette,
every place that's ever hosted the Olympics had multi-billion-dollar debts. It took 20 years to pay off, if they ever got paid off. And not one of the venues can be reused for anything.
Now 680 Sports. Let's head to Sports at 5:90. Hey, it's Zach Bodenstein. Austin.
Don't catch. Very quiet on the highways right now, mostly just overnight construction to watch out for. Now on the South 427 at Rathburn, a project's taking place. It's southbound in the collectors where the left lane's blocked, and southbound express at Rathburn, the right lane's blocked on the 427, but almost no delay for now. Just take extra caution anyways, as well as on the West 401 through Milton at Guelph line. That's the left lane that's blocked here with construction. And a crash in town still reported by York Regional Police in King City at Highway 27 and King Road. Now at Pizza, try the new Superfood Pizza Crust. It is vegan, gluten-free, and made with antioxidant rich vegetables like purple sweet potato. Now add pizza.
Purple sweet potato. It's not just enough to have yams. They have to be purple because what, did the Dutch breed them that way? So I laugh whenever they mention King City because it's the furthest north of the GTA you can get in this map book here. It's the furthest north city that has map pages. There's nothing there.
And prepay online at Pizza.
I've met one person from King City in my whole life. It's not exactly, it's the most remote neighborhood from Toronto is what it is.
With my producer Vince Tedesco, we take you behind
and
the
of course the main road is called King Road.
The funniest people in stand-up, sketch, and improv.
Hey, Dino, did you know I took improv?
Yeah, you remind me every week, Vince.
Yes, and?
Maybe you know us, maybe you don't, but you've definitely heard of our guests.
How you doing? This is Kevin Hart from Illinois. Sean
Inside Jokes, an inside look at comedy from the funniest people we know.
Sunday nights at 9 o'clock. Global News Radio, 640 Toronto. Brought to you by Hakeem Optical, makers of fine eyewear.
I'll give you one hint. They talk to the comedians. The comedians do not do stand-up sets on that show.
Raising questions to CIA. Mysterious past. Takes on a new mission.
What are you? Some kind of ex-cop?
To the odds.
I'm the one you call. You can't call 911.
Queen Latifah is the Equalizer. Special premiere episode Sunday, February 7th after the big game.
I forgot.
Global. Also available through Stan
I forgot.
TV.
I do not forget.
You know
that
Vashon Insurance
somebody
has insurance companies which
you
regularly
see
support
that
good
scene,
driving
oh,
for 10,
get it.
15, 20, and 25 years fault-free. How does your present company
The
reward
rich
you
white guy
for
drives a
being
Jag. He
accident-free?
helps out poor
Call
people
Vashon
against
to see how
bullies,
they can
and
save
dope
you
peddlers,
money.
and murderers.
I am Conrad
And he finds
Vashon,
creative ways for them to
your
pay him back
insurance
without
broker.
using money.
Vashon Insurance Group. Call 416-239-3373. That's 239-3373.
Hello there. I'm Wolfgang Klein, Portfolio Manager with Canaccord Genuity Wealth Management and host of
Oh, I
Hi-Fi
forgot they
Radio
were putting
right
that
here on
together.
News
They told
Radio
us that last
640
year,
Toronto. I have to let you know our show has moved to 7
I
p.m.
know, because I have a
Saturday night.
recollection of
Spend some
hearing
time
it
with
and
us, 'cause I know you care
when
about
we were
money,
doing the
but
video.
managing money is simple, but it's
I forgot to put it back.
Turn to in-class learning.
I think our children are the somewhat unheard voices of this pandemic, and bringing children back to school, it's a
We'll
very
shut them up.
important aspect of trying to make sure that our children are suffering.
You know what the kids' number one complaint is? Even the adults my age and younger, teachers don't listen to anything. And when it comes to school, the parents won't listen to us tell them
We
anything.
feel it's a critical piece,
They
and a
won't.
critical element
They
for
won't.
opening schools safely.
He says closing schools should only be
They
a
still say that the last residential Indian school closed in 96. It didn't. It closed in 98. I watched it on the news in 1998.
He says his COVID plan rivals anything they've done after some of the
They
nation's
all
worst
insist,
natural
1996.
disasters.
Why
This
minimize
is a model
every possible
we
way?
used to respond to Hurricane Sandy, which I was deeply involved with. President Biden
You didn't do
ordering
shit
all
about
foreign
Sandy.
travelers to get COVID tested before flying
going to the U.S. Other orders include speeding vaccine production, freeing disaster relief money, and working better with local governments to get vaccines out faster. Andy Field, ABC News, Washington.
Here with All News Radio 680 News.
We had 100-kilometer-an-hour winds blowing from east to west, and all our rain smelled like salt and ocean fish. And then the sewers flooded, and a whole shitload of houses where the whole basement got filled with sewer water.
And if you're looking for more, professional advancement is
One house to get flooded to ruin the air, the whole neighborhood.
5% of 2-minute truck managers started in frontline positions. Now is the time to apply. Visit 2minutetruck.ca and click career.
2-minute truck, the movers who care. Does your credit card debt keep you up at night? I know mine did. Hi, I'm Adam, and 6 years ago,
The truck's got 3 seats. Why can't you send 3 men in the truck?
Proven step-by-step
You can get a
system
crew
helps
cab and
homeowners
save 6.
eliminate debt and save thousands.
Right, we
like
gotta
Tina.
get
Now I sleep at night, my debts are paid off, and I only make one monthly payment.
Read hundreds of other 5-star
18 to
Google
22
reviews and
feet.
apply today.
16 feet, box with a reaper unit. We'll take that lobster straight from Nova Scotia to here. I'll sell it on the corner in the poor neighborhoods. No idea.
It's City News Time 9:21.
Traffic and weather together on the ones. Carly Donahue.
My grandmother used to buy seafood from a black guy at the back of the truck.
Right now,
I forget the business it was connected with, but you would literally drive through the poor neighborhood.
A left lane
Ghetto
closed due to
near poor.
maintenance. Southbound on the
Ghetto
427 at Rathburn in the collectors, we have a left lane closed, and in the express, they've shut down a right lane.
I think it's more of operation was to drive around until you saw old people on the porches and park the truck, get out,
Those are the
buy some
only
fish.
pieces of construction out on the major routes, and we have no delays and no collisions to deal with, so it's a great
I
drive.
don't remember the exact prices or the exact discount. I just remember it being cheaper than going to the market.
South of Burnhamthorpe, that's partially blocked off due to a police investigation. The safety of drivers, both on and off the road, means everything to 407 ETR. That's why they've developed a COVID assistance program for those who need it most. Your next report's at 9:31. Now with the forecast, here is Natasha Ramsey.
We've got some flurries overnight tonight as we drop to -1, wind chill -7, but Friday could bring some tricky travel if you have to head off to work. It all starts early in the morning with this cold front coming through, and that's going to bring falling temperatures, gusty northwest winds, as well as some heavier bursts of snow. Even throughout the day tomorrow, that northwest wind driving in lake effect.
Against public health advice. They don't say, oh, this is, you'll be glad to be working from home. Oh, if you have to go to work,
-4, wind chill -12.
constantly going
Friday
against
overnight
what's
into
good for
Saturday
people.
morning, still some lake effect snow to the north. Will be partly cloudy in the afternoon. It's colder though. Saturday's high -6, and then Sunday partly cloudy and -4. Tonight down to a low of -1.
And we are still
Two
sitting at
cops
3
took my
degrees,
photo
feeling
earlier.
like -2 with
Can
a
act like
partly
they're
cloudy
the
sky.
cop to lay down how the law. And we're watching. Didn't know who I was. The RCMP's out here watching to make sure I don't shoot nobody and nobody shoot me around here anyway. With people around. But these idiot cops don't know who I am. They're trying to scare me. We're watching you.
We'll have the details on these stories and much more coming up straight ahead.
680 News Time 9:23.
RRSP season is here. Consider Israel Bonds for your RRSP and tax-free savings account. Israel Bonds are now paying up to 3.14% in Canadian dollars, subject to conditions. Israel Bonds are sold in Canada by Canada Israel Securities Limited. Diversify your RRSP and TFSA with Israel Bonds. Rates up to 3.14% are available until January 31st.
They're still receiving aid from all these Western nations and so forth, meaning they're borrowing money, but not really, because the interest they're paying is coming from somewhere. For your economy, you're paying taxes to your government, and they're sending aid to that government who's using it to pay interest to your RSP. You're chasing your tail. Diversify, or you're not.
This could be an area where we do see some freezing rain, in addition to a bit of a mix across the GTA when you need to know.
These are the same people that flip out about black Jews in Ethiopia and file human rights complaints about me, Afro-Dutch hunger winter survivor, being anti-Semitic. Put a pipe bomb in my homeboy's car and almost burned down 24 houses. You're not cool. I give a fuck what stupid hat you wear. I'll blast it right
Bernice
off.
took part in the virtual announcement earlier today.
He would be elated to know that you cared enough.
The words are the bullets and my head is my gun.
You know, the The building is there, but two,
Only white people like you have to get crude and physically violent and invent the Ezekiel.
Bathurst, Trippz Carney founded one of Canada's first hockey schools, and through his
before
work with young
1948
hockey players, he became a member of both the Order of
All
Ontario
them Nazi
and the
soldiers
Order
disappeared
of
from
Canada.
Germany and
And
Austria.
Christy, I'm going to tell you that
And
about 4 minutes ago, we missed a very good opportunity when going to traffic there, because it was
How can you people tan in the sun if you're from there? You shouldn't tan at all if you're from the Middle East. Why would you tan in the sun if you're from
Which
the Middle
means it
East?
would have been the 21st minute of the 21st hour, of the 21st day of the 21st year of the 21st century.
Aw,
Hope you made a wish.
something's gonna
I
happen.
don't have local time here.
Oh, it already has.
Yeah, I think so.
Got about 60 seconds, so we will check into business and literature.
You just missed it. It's 21:25,
For a
bitch.
trusted and experienced online high school where you can earn credits or upgrade your marks?
I thought I was special for putting 01, 21, 2100 hours, 12 minutes.
Over
That's
10
what
years
that
of
was.
experience, OVS has over
121,
120
01,
interactive
21,
and engaging
12.
courses to choose from, including STEM, French immersion, and more. Sign up today, set your own schedule, and get 24-hour access to their certified teachers. To learn more and see why over 20,000 students have chosen to learn with OVS, visit OntarioVirtualSchool.ca.
For seniors, it's never been more important to be able to enjoy life in the place you call home. Silver Cross is dedicated to helping you stay mobile in the comfort of your home for as long as possible. From medical beds to stair lifts to home lifts, wheelchairs to walkers, Silver Cross has all kinds of ways to help you stay in your home longer. Right now, you can even buy a stair lift online, including professional installation. Visit silvercrossstores.com today and connect with an expert, because home is where you want to be.
Interviews on 926.
Now the business report. Here's our very own Richard Sutter.
Good evening, money. It's what most of us are really hoping to accumulate. But, there's a really old question about just where currency was invented and who was the creator. And a new report
Accumulate
out has
ownership
some
to keep
interesting answers
spending
to
the
that.
currency.
A
You are
research
stupid,
team
but this
based
is
in the
the fucking
Netherlands
business
has
about
uncovered
it.
a point in the early Bronze Age that may have been the beginning of currency as we know it. So experts found that up to 70% of certain bronze objects from the early Bronze Age were indistinguishable by weight. They weighed more or less the same. And this implies that they may have been created to be interchangeable. The objects were things like rings and axe blades, but again, they all weighed the same. The thinking was this could have been intended to be used like currency.
It could have been made from one
civilization starting between 4,000 and
that they got from
5,000
Africa.
years ago.
Bronze Age where?
Meaning that currency is a lot older than what we were thinking. Were we making any of our money today? Well, potentially, yes. If you're long technology
Chinese
in New York,
paper
the
money
NASDAQ
before
closed at a
that.
fresh record. It was up 73 points to 13,530.
They were already beyond
Intel,
currency
sharply
and
giving
into
about
paper
7%
money,
on
fiat
well-received
money.
earnings
At the
and
same
a
time,
dividend
stock.
hike from the semiconductor maker. Apple was
Exact
up more
same
than
time.
3% as it gears up to report earnings next week. After the bell,
Damn.
IBM reported softer revenue than what was expected, taking that stock down sharply in the extended trade. The S&P 500 up a point, good enough for a record. The NASDAQ fell 12 points to 31,176. And it was a money loser for the Toronto Exchange. The TSX down 98 points to 17,916. We saw some weakness for the cannabis names with Afria closing down 2.8% at $16.03.
What'd they lose?
A little bit of weakness for some of the energy stocks as well. Gold, $1,869. The Canadian dollar, 79.08 cents US. This is 680 News.
Many people suffer from anxiety and depression. They feel an immense sense of despair. I'm Danish Kotak, and at Kotak Law, we help clients who've been denied long-term
So they didn't give many details. 70% of some objects. Okay, so what were the other 30%? Just gotta wonder. If I had to think of that, I would say whoever had made these bronze objects must have been paid by somebody who gave them ingots of bronze that they somehow hammered. How would you hammer bronze? In any event, I would think that maybe they got paid with little pieces of bronze that all weighed the same amount or some shit. Or maybe it was a standardized thing for weight, which isn't even about currency. If we're trading lambs for cows or some shit, we got to weigh that shit, don't we? It don't matter whose currency you use. There was a Dutch researcher or something that found this shit out. I'm going to look that up. Bronze Age. When's the Bronze Age? He said 5,000 years ago. 5,000 years ago, the Chinese had gunpowder and paper money. Did they not? Somewhere in that time frame? And the Egyptians had copper plumbing. And the British were conquered by people that drank from lead water vessels and men that wore makeup and had sex with each other because that makes a more manly soldier. This is what happened. Oh, Mr. Admin, you're getting mad.
Tunnel at a Mississauga construction site. 3 others managed to escape.
Facing troubling accusations of workplace harassment, Julie Payette steps down as Governor General. The Prime Minister says a replacement will be picked in due course.
According to sources, the Tokyo Olympics are expected
he's
to be
the one that
canceled
recommends
this
the
year
Governor General to the
because of
Queen.
pandemic. They
So
were supposed to run last year, then rescheduled
what's
for
the
this summer.
Queen's
Japan
position
will
on
now
this?
focus on 2032.
The Halton Police Board has decided their chief will stay on the job despite traveling to Florida over the holidays.
Money losing Thursday trade for Bay Street. The NASDAQ, though, reaching new heights. And the NHL up and running in Ontario, but not horse racing. We're checking in with
So I'm
Woodbine.
going to remind you again, the Army doesn't do anything on the bottom of the hour. I'm going to remind you again because you're thinking you're going to get into my head or under my skin. And I know it's a bunch of you idiots, so I'm just going to repeat it like you didn't hear it before. We don't do anything on the half hour. That's a Canadian radio telecommunications rule about radio stations. So you dump on my router every hour and half hour, but there's nothing on my machine that runs in the half hour. There's nothing that's going to confuse me. I think I better turn this off. This has been happening for 3 to 6 months. I've been using the box the exact same way for 24 months. For 24 months. You get mad?
These construction spots are currently
Just
causing
remember
any kind
this.
of delay.
The buttons on the keyboard wore out. The seat you're sitting on wore out. The guy that drags you in and out of there, you think you're the first guy. I got something special for you.
And special savings on remaining 2020 Sprinter vans. Details at Mercedes-Benz-Durham.com with the forecast. Natasha Ramsahai.
Temperatures tonight down to a low of -1, wind chill -7 by
Believe
morning.
everything
Now,
else on the
you'll get
report.
some flurries tonight, but by
And,
tomorrow morning,
that thing about the watch I had as a kid going off every hour. I've been telling that story a long time. You guys only caught up to it the last time I told it in real time, about 4 months ago.
A couple of centimeters in Toronto, 2 to 5 centimeters for the
really
north
didn't
of
understand
GTA,
why the
10 to
alarm was
20
going off
for
every
very
hour.
northwards, and by Saturday morning, Colin would
Months
be up
later,
to
it
30
starts fucking,
centimeters.
my
Tonight, we're down
router
to a low
keeps
of -1.
crashing. On the hour, every hour. My connection goes up every hour, on the hour, but only evenings and weekends when your pedophile asses are pulled out of PC to wherever the computer room is. Because they can't bring you out in the daytime, can they? No, they can't. I say DIA, maybe Guantanamo Bay. I think you're a sailor that got caught with child pornography, and you're in a military break, something like that, because you're using
Constable Danny Martini tells 680 News.
what appears to be the same range of IP addresses. It takes you the same amount of time as me to get a new IP. You hit the router 20 times, I believe it's the number. It blocks that IP. 30 seconds later, you're back doing it again. You do it 4, 5, or 8 times on the hour, and then you do it on the half hour too, thinking you're the creative inventive guy because you write in the file. He has schizophrenic disease. He will go into heroin withdrawal from marijuana. If you interrupt his weed ceremony, it will do this and that to the spirits. If his tobacco falls on the floor, he will get angry. You don't know what you're studying at all. You don't know the opponent at all. You're not going to do anything to me.
As our Governor General
Because
steps
you're
down in
fucking
the
with South
calm
African rape gangs and you're not getting the job done. You know what happens to you? You get AIDS.
She apologizes for
That's the end result of being gang raped by 2 dozen South African rape gangs. So please, keep it up. Keep it up, because it's all documented that you're failing at your job.
And we
Why
all
you think
experience things
whoever your
differently.
handler
And
is
respect for the integrity of
keeps
the
bringing
office,
you
she
to the
says she's
computer?
stepping down.
Why don't
In
you have your
July,
own
former
computer?
and current staff told the CBC
And I know there's a
of
group of
toxic
idiots using
workplace
cell
where the
phones
Governor
to do
General and her
this.
secretary, who's also resigning,
You can hack systems with a cell phone, sure, but it's easier to do with a full-blown computer, generally speaking.
that has been submitted to the government. The union for the RCMP also says Mounties assigned to the Governor General's detail were harassed and faced other
So they all have
troubling
PTSD,
behavior.
and now they
The
need
minister also
funding for
notes everyone has a
therapy.
right to a safe
Just like the
workplace,
Canadian
and
Forces
says
set
it's
up
coming
with
for
the
new
long-term
leadership
care
at
home.
Rideau Hall.
Hey, it's 2, 3, 4 o'clock. It's 2, 3, 4 o'clock. That's more than what you're saying, bro.
The Supreme Court will fill in until then. Cormac makes 20
Well,
Parliament
technically
Hill.
it's 0, 2, 3, 4.
680 News Time 9:34. The Times of London reporting that the Tokyo Olympics that were
Times of
postponed to
London.
this summer will have to be canceled altogether.
Because for 30 minutes we want you to tell us what
2021
times.
Tokyo Games were originally supposed to take place last summer, but were pushed to this summer also because of the pandemic. An anonymous senior member of the ruling coalition told the Times of London that the Japanese government will be focusing instead on securing the games for the next available year. which won't be until 2032.
680 News Time, 9:35. The Halton Police Board has decided that their police chief will get to keep his job. Despite flying to Florida over the holidays, he's still there. 680's Madison Fitzpatrick joins us live with the story.
These boards, and these boards, I think, respond to the OPIRG or something.
Says they were not.
None of these people have to answer to the premier of the provincial government.
Travel and learned later that he had approval from then Police Board Chair and Oakville Mayor Rob Burton. Tanner traveled to Florida over the holidays, reportedly to take care of property-related issues. In a statement, Tanner says it was a poor decision to travel despite the government advisories not to leave the country. He also says he regrets the impact that this has had on Chair Burton, who has now stepped down from the Halton Police Board as a result of his decision to support Tanner's travel. The board has since accepted the chief's apology.
I regret that you lost your job sticking up
to the country this weekend.
Hold on, did he step down or he got stepped down?
Reporting live, I'm Madison Fitzpatrick.
680 News Time is 9:36.
There's nothing I can do about this stuff tomorrow, but it seems if I don't get some shit done tomorrow, I will not get my tooth pulled on Monday.
By COVID-19, 680's Phil Martino joins us with the latest, including how the city plans to help some neighborhoods out.
Dr. Eileen Davila says the latest data from public health shows South Asian and Indo-Caribbean people now make up the highest
I have to pay $30 for PPE that they already had to use. Cannot explain to me why it's different.
As of November
pandemic.
2020,
Can't figure out how I didn't go to the dentist's office in the first place to get the referral. Even though I told them on the phone, this is all over the phone.
From a racialized group. Mayor John Tory says the city has implemented.
Remember, to be a Chinese dentist and be successful in Canada, you must have racist white girls as secretaries.
That includes expanding testing sites and increasing education. Toronto Community Housing is also a partner in the initiatives.
TCHC, with the help of Toronto Public Health and regional health and social service providers, have conducted 5 door-to-door COVID-19 testing initiatives.
Health officials are reporting close to 1,000 new
all the
cases
niggers
of
with sickle cell and
COVID-19
breathe in their
Toronto.
faces.
A deadly COVID-19 outbreak is underway at Roberta Place Long-Term Care Home in Barrie. It's believed that a much more contagious variant of the virus is what fueled the spread of this nursing home.
Underway means a ship is underway when it's moving.
Who are criticizing the government's slow vaccine rollout.
Within 48
You just implied that you set this up on purpose.
More than 100 long-term care residents and 74 staff members of Roberta Place here in Barrie are infected with COVID. 25 residents have died so far, and patients from the home are now being treated at 2 area hospitals.
I'm afraid the cat's sort of out of the bag now, that this will, by evolution, by spread, will become potentially a dominant strain.
As of this weekend, Ontario is reporting 15 cases of the UK variant, also known as B117. Right now, the Public Health Agency of Canada is screening about 1 in 20 of all COVID-positive swabs looking for mutations.
I can only wish I could turn the clock back. If we had vaccine a month before, I think this outbreak would be a lot less severe.
Shauna Hunt, City News.
Severe, but the vaccine makes
680 News Time 9:38. Premier Doug Ford says he's not buying into Pfizer's claim that it's expanding its European plan to ramp up vaccine production. The retooling meaning that Ontario's next 2 shipments of COVID-19 shots will be significantly smaller. Here's 680's Mark Douglas.
Pfizer informed us this morning that we can expect around 79,000 doses for the first week of February.
Even so, that's only 20% of what was supposed to come that week. And Major General Denny Fortin, in charge of Canada's vaccine distribution, says he doesn't know what the week after that will bring. But he says Pfizer assures the Trudeau government Canada will get its 4 million doses by the end of March. Pfizer halted deliveries of its COVID vaccine because of a manufacturing upgrade at a plant in Belgium. Ontario Premier Doug Ford says about that, quote, "I don't buy any of that crap," unquote. Ford says he has already spoken with the CEO of Pfizer Canada.
All of a sudden, you don't have the ammunition to fight the war, per se.
Ford says he pointed out to the CEO that Ontario is Pfizer's biggest Canadian customer. At Queen's Park,
I don't know this stuff about supporting black-owned businesses. You killed a woman in Little Jamaica a week ago.
Years in Montreal was handed out by the United States Embassy in Ottawa for the inauguration. Kyle Hasselreed says he was honored. His comic was part of the historic moment.
What it means is that they're celebrating the election of the first woman vice president, the first woman of color, first black woman. Like it's
It's a historic moment.
But don't say Asian. For fuck's sakes, don't say Asian.
Harris standing up against a Canadian landlord who tried to
Or
stop
Indian or Hindustani or however you want to
Coming up
phrase
in
it.
30
For
seconds,
fuck's
we'll take a
sakes,
look at your
don't
gas
say that.
prices.
This is 680 News.
If your head wants to plan for retirement, but your heart wants to enjoy life now,
So to be clear, for 150 some odd years, the British have viewed Canada as a rogue colony, just like the United States. But they've given up on getting the United States back, except for making money off them, and they can't. They can't stop them from sending bananas and whatever other things, and refusing to buy your mad cow infected beef. Canada keeps pretending we're still bound to the British. India became India when the British left and told them, you can be the Indians now, which comes all the way from, quote unquote, the Indian problem, which later became the words used in what's referred to as the Trudeau White Paper. But they always, no, it's the 1969 White Paper. No, it's the Trudeau White Paper because we named it first. Introduced by the Saskatchewan Premier, whatever the fuck he was at the time, John Gresham. Brought it out on the floor in 1969. We're going to deal with the Indian problem. Okay. In the years followed up to and following that is when politicians get kidnapped and murdered and shit in Canada. Oh, yeah. Things you don't hear about in the United States or anywhere else. We have serious domestic terrorism concerns in Canada. Okay, where I'm going with this. They won't mention that woman is Indian, descended from India. They won't mention Asia. Oh, she's black and a person of color. You're a fucking idiot. If you're willing to use the word black, don't use the word color. If you're going to be politically correct, if you're willing to use the word black, you should probably not use the word person of color. Probably. And I don't remember any Asians ever being called persons of color until recently when I started when we found out, I forget where this comedian brought this out about 10 years ago, I think. A touch of the tar brush, meaning suspected African or Asian blood. Now, I never knew about the Asian part of that racial slur. I never knew about that. What was the other one? There's other... I don't have all the racial slurs at the tip of my tongue. Hold on.
This weekend, it's going to be the coldest day of the season so far. Tonight we're down to -1, but that cold front is coming through early in the morning. So throughout the day tomorrow, it's a mix of sun and clouds.
Referring to Kamala Harris's ancestral village. Like she just came here from there.
Northwest winds. Temperatures -1.
Now, I'm not going to belittle her bloodline, which is somewhat her ancestry, but that's up to her too. And the headlines, they want, oh, this is a foreign immigrant. 4 generations is nothing. Going back in India, well, half independent rule and half under British rule, approximately. If you go back 4 generations.
We've dipped a little bit 1 degree.
Which is when Canada said we're not.
Sky. 680 News Time 9:43.
War of 1812. All the black people and Indians.
Full steam ahead
American
with
Revolutionary
former
War.
President Trump's
People fought on both
second
sides of that.
impeachment trial.
House Speaker Nancy
How many
Pelosi on
people
the
can say
president's
that with a
upcoming
straight
Senate
face?
trial. We had to wait for the Senate to be in session. They've now informed us
This stamp guy talking about black settlers, most of whom were enslaved.
about how the trial will
But none of them were black
Pelosi also
loyalists.
revealing She'll be talking with House impeachment managers
And
about
oddly
the
enough, that would
timing
show
of the
the
Senate
black
trial.
people's loyalty to the
That's
British
what
crowd, which
ABC
Canada
News,
wants to
Washington.
deny. We're not
Coming up at
part of Britain.
9:48, WestJet puts the controversial Boeing 737 MAX into the air with passengers on board for the first time in almost 2 years.
And listen to the sound bites you have. I trust the process. Oh, I'm sure they went over it thoroughly. Yesterday they told us it's being approved because it has to be by the treaty. Today they're playing sound bites. Oh, I believe they went over it thoroughly. Whatever's wrong with the plane. Buddy, there's nothing wrong with the airframe. It's the electronics. There's no off switch. There's no indicator light of any sort. There's no notice printed on the fucking... You get on a city bus, it says you must stand behind the white line. You must not bother the driver while they're driving. You get on this plane to fly it. You're a pilot. It's presumed you'll be able to fly any plane they put you in. As a pilot, you are responsible for all mechanical work done to the plane. As soon as you take off, it's your responsibility. If it blows up with the wheels on the ground, it's the mechanic's fault. If you make it in the air, then crash, it's your fault. You are liable as the pilot, no matter what went wrong, no matter what's wrong with the design. Who approved this, I almost called it anti-nosedive. It's skyrocketing downwards, Donald Trump. This system decides to point the plane into the ground based on angle of attack sensors. That doesn't tell you if it's stalling. That does not tell you what the plane is stalling, if the wing is stalling.
It happened just before 6 tonight near Kafra and Bloor. The Ministry of Labor will now be investigating. Canada's Governor General Julie Payette is resigning after her office has swirled with controversy over the last few months. Many employees accusing her of creating a toxic work environment, which led to an investigation. Details of that investigation expected to come out tomorrow. And Japan announcing that it has to cancel its Summer Olympic Games again because of the pandemic.
So they trust the Army so little that they'll have the Royal Canadian Mounted Police be her guard, but not the officially Royal Canadian Army. The Army's refusing to rename itself. The Air Force and the Navy did it. The Army's refusing. This started in 2010. We're going to rename it Royal. Why? To allude to the royal connection. What does that mean?
Austin Matthews tomorrow. He missed practice after getting banged up in last night's game. His
Canadian Army regular force, or just full-time soldiers,
to determine the severity of his injury. He's expected
is like the
to
current present army. The Res F traces its roots all the way back to what's called the militia, or the Canadian militia. The militia, if you're talking about Canada, which goes back to before 1812. It was the people of Canada who were armed and willing to fight. And I call it Canada. Whatever you call the land up here, wherever exactly you draw that border ain't exactly important. The Res F goes all the way back to the militia. The U.S. Army, from what I've been reading, traces its roots all the way to
July 23rd. He's not going far, but Sid Sixero is making the switch from Sportsnet to breakfast television to co-host alongside Dina Pugliese. Tim McCallum will stay on Sportsnet 590 The Fan weekdays from 5 to 7. Sports at 15 and 45 past every hour or anytime at sportsnet.ca/590.
Canada First Defense Strategy came out 10 years ago. We're going to rename everything Royal, and we should boost troop levels like crazy because we got like 20 million people that are considered to be of military enrollment age or whatever, eligible age.
Lenses and cataracts.
Numbers have gone down and down and down.
Google Herzig Eye Institute. Call us for a consultation.
And they can't figure out why they can't root white supremacism out of the Canadian Army. It's
look after yourself.
Because you're pushing the troop numbers down.
Shouldn't your money work even harder for you?
Niggers and chinks and Indians are going to get kicked out first.
Union, you get no-fee checking accounts. You also get high interest on deposits and investments, and low mortgage rates. Plus, you get to share on the profits.
Armies, police forces, and a lot of corporations,
and now,
these so-called bad apples or bad seeds, they get promoted out because there's no other way to get rid of them. The only way to get them out of your fucking local area is to promote him on this. I have very good recommendations for this guy to get out of here. That's how you get General Hillier.
Time 9:48. U.S. President Biden is proposing a 5-year extension of a nuclear arms treaty with Russia.
The new START treaty is set to expire next month. It's the last remaining agreement constraining the U.S. and Russian nuclear weapons, limiting each country to no more than 1,550 deployed nuclear warheads. Russia has said for some time it would welcome an extension, and while the Trump administration did make a late bid to extend the treaty, it came with conditions rejected
It's not the
by
Confederate
Russia.
Army. I can't remember what it's called.
Secretary General is
It's a
calling on
different
the
war.
U.S. and Russia to extend the treaty and to broaden it. And Thomas Washington.
Passengers aboard the first Boeing 737 MAX flight in Canadian airspace in nearly 2 years aren't overly concerned about the plane's safety, saying they trusted that regulators had addressed any issues with the aircraft. Following WestJet Flight's 115's arrival in Vancouver, WestJet President and CEO Ed Sims spoke at a press conference where he celebrated the milestone and emphasized the design changes made to the aircraft since it was grounded by Transport Canada in March of 2019. Not a concern.
The return of WestJet's MAX aircraft marks an operational milestone.
You lease that shit. Send it back and stop making a payment, stupid.
Review and considerable learning.
WestJet will offer additional flexibility in its change and cancellation policies to customers scheduled to fly on the MAX. And Toronto police are warning the public after a man tried to break into a woman's apartment in Parkdale. It happened yesterday in the Jameson Avenue and Leopold Street area. Police say the man tried to force his way inside the woman's apartment and threatened to sexually assault her. The woman slammed the door and called 911 while the man ran away. He's described as in his 30s with a medium build and a black mustache. He's wearing a navy blue toque, black and white checkered scarf, and a brown leather jacket. And you can see a security camera image of that man at 680news.com. Coming up, Amazon promises to help the Biden administration with the vaccine.
You know what?
rollout. 680 News Time 9:50.
If you have unfiled taxes, this message is for you. Not sleeping at night because you're behind on your taxes. It is illegal not to file your taxes.
No, it's not.
It is not illegal to owe
It's not illegal not to file your taxes.
We can bring your taxes up to date and arrange.
You're only
to settle
required
your
to file
tax
every
debt.
3 years.
We do this every day for our clients at Mark Feldstein
Well,
and
anyway.
Associates. Take control and start sleeping at night. Call Mark Feldstein and Associates Chartered Professional Accountants today. Visit markfeldstein.ca.
Hey, thanks again, Ian, for driving. I'm not drinking that much.
No problem. You're lucky I was only smoking pot tonight.
What's that up ahead?
I think it's a ride spot check. Don't worry, I got this.
Spot check, have you been drinking?
Pleasant experience all along. Plus, Health Associate treating you so well. You feel like as if you're a premium guest.
I love that. That's a beautiful way of putting it.
Aaron Park. This January, get up to $3,000.
So I don't know what makes it into the video. I have spent 4 fucking minutes straight, 22 clicks on the menu button. It opens up 3 windows, but that's not what I asked for. When you hear all the bullshit they spout at the same time, man, you're going to fight the pedophiles fight, right? You're going to prove sex offenders deserve what? What do you deserve, bro? What do you deserve?
U.S. employees COVID-19 vaccines on site when doses become available. Biden signed 10 pandemic-related executive orders today, including measures to try to supercharge the rollout of vaccines. Back here at home, at North York Arena is getting a $2.8 million makeover with cash from the federal, provincial, and City of Toronto governments. Herbert H. Carnegie Centennial Center on Finch near Bathurst is named after the former hockey star who was born in Toronto and was one of the first black semi-professional hockey players in the country, as well as the founder of one of Canada's
So it's busted. Yeah, we're not online anymore. Way to go, stupid. Way to go, stupid. You wasted 4 fucking minutes. It's 2:56. Oh, why'd the clock tick backwards? Frederick, you're fucking with things you shouldn't be fucking with.
Turned out to be
2, 2, 3 o'clock.
Were not only
Pure
so
coincidence.
invested in family, they were invested in making sure that we gave back to the community.
Herb Carnegie's work training young hockey players earned him both the Order of Ontario and the Order of Canada. 680 News Time 9:55.
In life, the most important question any human being could ever ask is, will you marry me?
Not. Are we alone in the universe?
Well,
Or with hiding in 95% of the ocean we haven't explored?
I didn't mean...
Well, lemon juice really stalled my avocado turnaround.
Leopold. It's the second cross street south.
Does Einstein's
South, I
theory
think.
of special relativity really make time travel possible?
Okay, point taken. At Spence Diamonds, we know the most important question any human being could ever ask when they're in love and want to be with that person forever and make it official and maybe throw a party is, will you marry me? And as Canada's engagement destination, we have thousands of quality cut Canadian-made rings to make sure that answer is a yes. Now available with no interest financing. Spence Diamonds, open for virtual appointments.
Leopold. It's the second one south of Queen.
Now that it's a report, here's Richard Sutter.
Good evening. It is tough going for those in the racing business. Woodbine has been totally shut down for some time.
Nobody cares, brethren. You're trying to fill the last 5 minutes of my video with bullshit about you. Where's this photo?
He is the CEO of Woodbine Entertainment, and he says he's just asking for a fair shake from the government.
No.
We feel we deserve a chance to present our case. We went 7 months at Mohawk
Nope.
Park without a single case of
Bullshit!
We raced 5 nights per week, and we did it safely. And given our safety protocols and procedures, and given the economic hardship, we just like a seat at the table.
How bad are things financially?
Oh, picture of a person you identify as South Asian in your article. This is good.
As far as the impact on the industry, a number of large stables are leaving to run in the
D
United
Villa.
States. And it's also
That's not De Villa, that's D Villa. There's a space
because they
there.
don't have the money.
You can pretend all you
Also,
want.
the sales were weak in the fall, and I think
Is the rapist there? Nope.
a more damaging time in the near term, and hopefully we'll find a way to rebound from this.
Please keep readjusting what I'm Indo-Caribbean South Asian.
The Nasdaq closed at a record. It was up 73 points to 13.
It may blow your mind. Indonesia is part of Southeast Asia.
Received earnings and a dividend hike from the semiconductor maker. Apple stock up more than 3% as well as it gets set to report earnings next week. IBM in with earnings after the bell, a soft revenue number.
Jesus Christ, can you get the fuck out of here? Holy fuck.
Good enough for a breath record. The Nasdaq
Oh my God, get the fuck
The
lost.
TSX down 98 to 17,916, and the Canadian dollar at 79.08 cents US. This is 680 News.
Make your next career move with 2 minutes.
That person's not Southeast Asian.
And enthusiastic team members for mover, driver, and customer service positions. And if you're looking for more, professional advancement is always a possibility.
Can I download this?
2-minute truck managers started in frontline positions. Now is the time to apply. Visit 2minutetruck.ca and click career.
2-minute truck, the movers who care.
Holy fuck, buddy. 9 fucking minutes to get through this. The fuck is your issue, bro?
Enjoy your life today.
Oh.
But the Scotiabank Savings Accelerator account can help. For a limited time, earn 1.5% interest to help grow your TFSA or RRSP faster. So you can accelerate towards what your head is planned for tomorrow and let your heart enjoy what it needs today. Visit Scotiabank.com.
Her name is F-I-L Martino. That's boy. It's not P-H-I-L, it's F-I-L.
Now, 680 News regional weather conditions for Walmart.
Holy fuck, and there's no more sound, eh?
Walmart knows wellness. If you need any advice on healthy choices this year, just ask your Walmart pharmacist. This message is brought to you by Pharmascience.
In Hamilton, 2 degrees with light snow. Richmond Hill, 2 degrees, mostly
I've been trying to leave for 34 minutes, eh?
680 News time, 10 o'clock.
Number 1 for breaking news, traffic, and